The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look at my soul. I've been afraid I would follow alone. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Welcome into a Friday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com. Ron Potesta with you. Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. If you're looking for a new or slightly used automobile, you need to check out the good folks at Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. They have the three qualities that is most definitely needed when purchasing a new or slightly used car. They have a tremendous sales department, a great finance department, and an awesome service department. And those three things are very much needed as you make the journey to get a new or slightly used automobile. So definitely take a trip to Austintown, Mahoning Avenue in Austintown, and check out Greenwood Chevrolet. MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business. 330-886-0813. That's 330-886-0813. We got plenty of boys basketball coaches coming on board today via the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Brian Beanie will be calling in a matter of moments. Austintown Fitch playing home to Ursuline tonight, looking for their first victory of the season. We will catch up with Coach Beanie from the Fitch Falcons at 12:15. Josh Scott from Heartland Christian. He will be jumping in on the program at 1:15. Heartland Christian off to a great start. They have a 4-1 record, and we will see what happens with Heartland Christian on Saturday night when they take on Valley Christian up at Valley Christian. So they'll be playing in Youngstown against Valley Christian. Valley Christian has a game tonight at home against Leetonia, so we'll see what happens there as well. But Heartland Christian, this is a Division IV program, and yet they have not only a varsity team and a JV team, they also have a freshman basketball team. And there's not a whole lot of Division IV schools that have a freshman basketball team. Heartland Christian does. Matter of fact, they played the Camel freshmen and beat them, I might add, before the game that we had last night on the network between the Crestview girls and the Camel girls. And in that ball game, Krista Perry scored her 1,000th point. She got the job done in the first quarter en route to a 20-point night. She now has 1,013 points in her illustrious career. And congratulations to Krista Perry and the Crestview Rebels for knocking off Camel last night, 60-20. By the way, 3 games. We have broadcast 3 Camel games, Larry Scragg and I. We broadcast their game against Lowellville earlier in the year, Heartland Christian at the Purple Palace, and last night, Camel was home to Crestview. And in all 3 of those games, the Camel girls have scored 20 points. It's weird. You broadcast a team 3 times, and all 3 times they're scoring the exact same amount of points. Crazy. So I'm sure we'll probably have the rematch between Crestview and Camel, since it's going to be at Crestview, and I'll be interested to see if it's a 4th time when the kids score 20 points. Anyway, Josh Scott from Heartland Christian will be calling in the program at 1:15. Heartland Christian off to a fantastic start. 1:45, Todd Mcelroy from Canfield will be calling in. Cardinals off to a slow start this year. 1 win, 3 losses. And we'll check in with the head coach of the Canfield Cardinals at 1:45. They're back at it again after the holidays, and hopefully they're going to have a game in the next 11 days. They're scheduled to play their next game after Christmas, Tuesday, December 29th, home game against Poland, a team that beat them 61-56 at Poland. And at 2:15 this afternoon, we'll check in with Nick Miller from Beaver Local. Now, I know Beaver Local knocked off Crestview earlier in the year. To be honest with you, I've been looking at their schedule, and there's a lot of canceled games. So we certainly have some things to talk about with Nick Miller, as his team has not played very many games. I want to say they've played 2, maybe 3 games. We'll get to the particulars when we get Nick Miller on at 2:15 this afternoon. All right, coming up on the network tonight, we have plenty of boys basketball. This will be a 6:30 start, so that means that the JVs will be starting at 5, and the 6:30 game, give or take a few minutes in either direction. Lisbon is home tonight to Southern. We made mention the Austintown Fitch game against Ursuline. That is a 7 o'clock start. Again, the JV's getting underway at 5:30. And again, depending on how fast the JV game finishes, that's when the varsity game will start. It could be before 7, could be a little after 7. We're going to call it somewhere around 7 o'clock. Here's your other 7 o'clock games, as I use air quotes on. Hold on a second. 7 o'clock. Yeah. Got to use air quotes when we do that from here on out. Boardman is hosting Cardinal Mooney, couple of undefeated teams. Columbiana will be hosting Wellsville. Springfield is hosting Sebring. Struthers will be hosting East Liverpool. That's going to be a good game. Valley Christian is hosting Leetonia, and West Branch will be hosting Marlington. All of those games have a 7 o'clock start, which means the JV games get underway at 5:30, and again, depending on how fast or how slow the JV game is, that will determine where the varsity game is. If the JV game is in triple overtime or double overtime or some kind of overtime, the game's going to start a little after 7 o'clock. If there's hardly any fouls called and the game is really, really quick, well, then the varsity game will start before 7 o'clock. I think everyone knows the drill by now. All right, 330-886-0813. The MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business. We made mention Krista Perry last night getting her 1,000th career point. Congratulations to her in that accomplishment. Also, congratulations to United. Apparently, I wish that team a little bit too much luck because they went into Leetonia and they beat my beloved Bears 42-32. But tell you what, we had the United coach on yesterday, and they found something. They found an ingredient. They found a little chemistry within their practices, and they showed off a little bit of that in the last few games. Well, they went into Leetonia, beat a previously undefeated Leetonia team. Now, I mean, not that they're going to finish undefeated. I mean, Leetonia's a good team. They're not undefeated good, but it's a good win. That's a solid win. And the EOAC in the girls, that's going to be a free-for-all. It'll be a lot of fun to see who wins that conference this year. And United looks like they have found something, and they're certainly playing some good basketball. No two ways about that. I know Crestview was without a couple of starters, some illnesses and whatnots, and a lot of kids made their varsity debut last night, and it was a solid performance. Solid performance by the Crestview girls. They knocked off Camel 60-20. And again, Krista Perry getting her 1,000th career point. The senior, I think they've now played I want to say they have now played 6 games. And if you think about it, if they can get 21 games, so 15 games in the regular season, let's just say 15 games overall. If they can get to 15 games and Krista averages 20 points a game, that's 300 points. So she would be over 1,300 points for her career. I'm not sure who holds the record at Crestview. I know there have been a handful of boys and girls that have scored over 1,000 points in Crestview. I'm not 100% sure who holds the record for most points scored at Crestview. But I wonder if 1,300 is in the ballpark. And the next time I'm over there, I'm going to take a look. Because the record books are or I should say the record holders are up on the wall as you walk toward the auditorium, the gymnasium in Crestview. And I'll be curious to see if 1,300 could set a record at Crestview. But Krista Perry, again, a little over 1,000 points. Very humble. Very, very humble. And she, a class act by Camel last night as well. Stacy Seepin, the athletic director over there, they made sure that they stopped the game when Krista Perry got her 7th point, and it was basically a layup in the lane that got her 7th point in the first quarter. And they immediately stopped the game, and they presented her with a ball, and just the members of the media were there to capture the moment as well. It was a really cool moment, and kudos to Camel for stopping the game and allowing that to happen. And that was a really cool, very cool ceremony and whatnot. And then they got back to playing basketball, and Krista scored 13 more points. I think she led the Rebels with 20 points in the ball game. But a really, really nice moment, and it was cool to see. And I'm sure that she would have loved to have done it at home, but here's the thing: beggars can't be choosers when it comes to getting something as prolific as that. And I know that maybe now in terms of freshmen are allowed to play varsity ball, because there was a time back in the day, 30, 40 years ago, where freshmen did not play varsity basketball. And in order to get 1,000 points, you had to do it in 3 years and not 4 years. But that doesn't take away the incredible honor. 1,000 points, that's big time. That's some serious biggins right there. And if you can get to 2,000 or 3,000, now you're in rarefied air. But 1,000, that is nothing to sneeze at. That's 250 points a year. Based on 20 games a year, you're talking about 12 and a half points a game. If you're playing 20 games a year, 12 and a half points a game, 4 consecutive years, you're at 1,000 points. That's nothing to sneeze at. It is definitely nothing to sneeze at. If you're looking at just the regular season, based on a 22 game season, you got to average about 11.36 points per game over 4 years to get that done. That's a heck of a good honor, and it just, I think it also rewards consistency as well. I think it definitely rewards consistency. And again, if you're a 4-year starter, a 3-year starter, hey, you know what? 1,000 points is 1,000 points, and that's a pretty damn good honor. All right, let's get to the phone lines right now, where we kick off our basketball talk, our boys basketball talk, as we bring in the head basketball coach for the Austintown Fitch Falcons, Brian Beanie. Brian, how are you today, sir?
Good, Ron. How are you?
I'm doing good. All right, so you guys are off to an 0-2 start. You've only played 2 games to this point. I guess the first question, how are you guys dealing with all of the issues of the schedule really isn't your schedule, and you're going to be a fluid situation, and COVID is still very much alive and well. How are you guys dealing with all of that mentally?
Mentally, it's definitely a challenge. There's no doubt about that. I mean, I think every coach would say that, structure is what they look for as far as, we play on these dates. Here's our schedule. This is how we prepare and stuff like that. And right now, with the situation being fluid, you might have a schedule in front of you, but there's a good chance that's not going to be your schedule. We've already had to change ours 2 or 3 times through cancellations. And, you just got to have that mindset of being able to adjust and adapt to what's put in front of you. And for me, that's not easy because I like to know who we play, and there's a routine that we do from scouting to preparation and stuff like that. But, in these times we're living, you just got to do the best with what you got. And, we haven't played. We played tonight, fortunately, but that will be 2 weeks from our last game. We played the 4th and the 5th, and then we haven't had anything. We've had some cancellations, and, we've been in quarantine ourselves, and we just got back off of that on Tuesday the 15th. So it is definitely challenging, but basically, and I think every coach would say the same thing, you got to play when you can play, and, the goal is to get the kids as many games in as possible because that's what it's about. And it's different than any other year, of course, and you just try to fit games in when you can fit them, whether that's a Monday or a Wednesday or a Thursday. You just got to do what you can do. And, this is the first time in a long, forever basically, where the coaches really aren't in charge. The virus is. And, we just got to make the best of the situation, and you got to keep your fingers crossed that your team stays healthy and the opponent you're playing stays healthy. And, you don't get that phone call saying, we can't play this coming week for, whatever reason that may be. So I know that's a long-winded answer, but that's basically where we're at, and basically where all coaches are at, for that matter.
Austin Town Fitch, head basketball coach for the boys. Brian Beanie joining me on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. And here's the thing. I mean, even if you guys get 3 or 4 games in and we hit the calendar of 2021 come January the 4th, it's going to be next to impossible to try to squeeze 18 games in. And even if you try to squeeze the 18 games in, could that do more damage in terms of a higher chance of going right back into quarantine?
Oh, there's no question. I mean, a lot of schools that haven't even started yet, like you're saying, when the first of the year rolls around, they're going to try to squeeze as many games in as they can, especially trying to get those conference games in, which are most important. You're always at a risk for something coming down the pike and stuff like that, where, I want to play 22 games, but then the question is how feasible is playing 22 games? How much are you trying to cram in and stuff like that? So, there is that fine line, like I said, of what's the positive of it, what's the negative of it. And, tonight's our senior night, and it's an unconditional. Usually senior nights are the last game of the year, but you have to take that opportunity to honor your seniors when you think for sure you can get that game in, and that happened to be tonight for us. So it's an unconventional senior night, but again, we're trying to do the best for the kids, and honor them. So it's just a crazy time. And it's obviously, I think, more crazy in the winter than it was in the fall. The fall seemed to be pretty stable for the most part, even though they didn't play all of their games. They kind of had that set routine. The winter coaches in the winter sports, it's basically fly by the seat of your pants right now and do the best you can.
Brian, I know in practice, and I've done this a couple of times because I helped out Coach Dennis down at Leetonia, trying to tell kids what's going on while wearing a mask on your mouth and covering your nose. First of all, it's tough enough to hear people in an environment where basketballs are dribbling and whatnot. It's multiply that by 100 when the coach has a mask on, and you're having a hard time hearing that person to begin with. Now the person has a mask on. Good Lord, practices are just it's damn near impossible to do it.
Yeah, it is a huge, obviously, adjustment. And I'm always finding myself always pulling that mask up above my nose, because when you want to say something and you want to coach them and you want to, it's just that, habit of, you want to make sure they hear you. So you kind of pull your mask down and you catch yourself. Uh-oh, I got to put it right back up. It's definitely, during games, it's the same thing. It's hard. There's no other way to put it. But it's the rules. It's safety first, and you got to do it. You got to make the most of it. And you talk about practices, like in our situation, and probably some other coaches' situations, we have only had our full team together for one day since we officially started. What was that? December or November 1st, or something like that. So it's there's just no consistency right now. And again, a lot of coaches are dealing with it. You just have to make the best of your situation. And what that does is there are some kids that you are prepping for varsity time that maybe quite aren't ready yet in a normal season, but because you don't know what players you're going to have at any given time, everybody has to be ready to go. And that's a challenge. It's a challenge. But, again, you just got to do the best that you can do with it.
Okay, let's talk about the team right now. You guys opened up against Hudson, a 48-33 setback the night after a loss to Struthers, 77-52. As you said, Coach, you haven't played in quite a while. You guys are going to be home to Heartland tonight. Tell everyone the kind of talent that you guys have this year. How many returning starters you have? How many seniors? Is this a young team? Is this a veteran team? Let's talk a little bit about the 2020-2021 Austintown Fitch Falcons.
Well, our first two games, like you said, we were there in both of them. The fourth quarter kind of got away with us in Struthers a little bit, and we were right there with Hudson midway through the fourth. But again, we didn't have everybody there at that time. But going into the season on paper, this is a pretty exciting team. First and foremost, athletically, very, very athletic. This team defensively can get after people. We're not the biggest team in the world. Our biggest kid is 6'4". But from an athletic standpoint, there's never a question. And it wasn't the first two games. Athletically, we were there. There's no doubt. Returning players, obviously Todd Simons is back. He's a 3-year starter. Todd's about 45 points away from becoming 1,000-point scorer. I anticipated him getting that, probably on our game the 22nd versus Marleyton, I would think. So he's been a 3-year starter. He'll end up being a three-time all-conference first-teamer. He's been honorable mention All-State. So, Todd, everybody knows about Todd. And then we have Nate Leskovac returning. He's a starter. He was second-team All-State in football this year, I believe. And then, we have some other guys returning. Mike Remish, he's a letter winner. And then we sprinkle in, and this is the part of what I was talking about earlier, this is where you're putting in some youth in there. We got a couple freshmen that play some varsity. Then we got a couple sophomores that play some varsity. And so we got anywhere from, obviously, freshmen through seniors. We played 11 or 12 guys the first two games. Will that continue throughout the season? Well, you just got to see how the season goes. But we do have some pretty good depth. And for us, it's just basically a matter of becoming more consistent, putting the ball in a hoop. We've had a lot of opportunities the first two games. But from an effort standpoint, from a defensive standpoint, this team gets after it as well as any team I've had, in a while. But it's going to take a little bit of time with the inconsistency of, players being available and not being available and stuff like that. So hopefully, starting tonight, we can get, we got 20 of our 21, roster together for the first time that we've had, like I said, in a while. So hopefully we can have that consistency as we build, through December and into the first of the year. And I just keep my fingers crossed that we're able to do that.
Brian Beanie, our guest, he is the head boys basketball coach at Austintown Fitch. He joins me on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline. As soon as this dark cloud passes by us, and the faster the better, obviously, but sounds to me like you guys have all the ducks are in the row. The only thing that's holding you back right now is COVID.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure, again, I'm sure a lot of coaches are probably in the same boat, like I talked about earlier. But if we can just get everybody here, and we are fortunate enough not to have COVID interfere in our program, and we're fortunate enough not to have other teams cancel, that, yeah, this group is a pretty exciting group. But again, it's just so hard to judge anything right now. And even the teams that are maybe getting off to a slow start or got off to a good start, you really still can't tell, because when you're playing your opponent, is that opponent, they have all their players. Was that a true test of what you saw from the opponent you played? So you really won't know. I don't know if we'll really ever know this whole season, because you don't know how long COVID's going to be affecting everything. So it's really just hard to tell right now what you truly have and the opponents that you play, what they have. But on paper, I like what we have. But, again, we have to see how that transfers over.
Now, Brian, obviously, the varsity, and I've said this forever and a day, the varsity is just the cherry on top of a delicious sundae. The rest of it is what happens below varsity, the future Austintown Fitch Falcons, if you will. And, Austintown is blessed to have an incredible basketball program, not just in high school, but an incredible basketball program in junior high and in the youth program. Mm-hmm. Can we talk a little bit about the junior high and the youth program and the future Falcons?
Well, I'm fortunate that, I do have a coach, one of my middle school coaches who also runs my youth program. He does a really nice job of coordinating a lot of that, along with myself and our other coaches. So, we always put out, when it comes time to these travel youth tournaments, we always have about 6 to 8 travel teams that go around. And, of course, to make that happen, you need to have parents as well that are willing to help and volunteer at that level and stuff like that. So we're fortunate there. Our middle school, the thing that really sets our middle school apart in a lot of ways is, in middle school sports, you've watched enough. It's, a lot of those kids are just really, really good athletes. They can impose their will in a lot of ways at the middle school level, and really it doesn't have to come with size. It's just that athleticism that those kids bring to the table. So down at that level, we've been blessed with that. Sure, do we need to get better from a skill standpoint? Well, every program in any sport will say, of course, you have to get better. But it does start at our youth program, and then it carries over to our middle school programs. We have 4 teams down there, 2 7th grade, 2 8th grade. So we try to balance those teams out as evenly as we can. We don't have an A and a B like maybe some schools do. We just have 2 A teams, basically. And we think that's a great way to do it. It keeps kids in the program. You keep between 12 to 15 kids per team, or whatever number that may be. So everyone kind of stays interested, because you're not going to get every kid just not going to continue to play. Some kids will break off and only go to one sport, or whatever the case may be. So it's always good to have, those kids down there involved. And like I said, it starts even below that at the youth level, and then carries over to the middle school level. And then you got to have coaches down there that you trust, and I've been fortunate that, we've had teachers down there that are also coaches, which is really big because they're in the school system. And then also the coaches that I've had, number one, are good individuals and they're good coaches. And, I don't really have to worry about that part of it down there with them. So, it's been a blessing. There's no doubt about it.
And it's always great to have those kids, when they go from 8th grade to 9th grade, they're essentially ready to play, whether it's, JV team, varsity team, or, if they you guys have a freshman team and they want you, or you want them to play on the freshman team, that's good too. But the great thing is the great programs will always have kids that are ready to play high school brand basketball when they graduate from junior high.
Well, and the thing that I noticed the last so many years, and not just in basketball, but other sports as well, back in the days, in the 80s, now I'm dating myself, but like in the 80s, in the 90s, like basically if you were a freshman, you basically played on the freshman team. And if you were a sophomore, you basically kind of played on the JV team. But anymore, like these athletes with the year-round training that they get at times, and just the more things that they're able to, access, more than ever, a lot of these incoming freshmen, they are ready to play at the varsity level. Their skill level is better than it's been in the past, and I just see it. I whether I'm watching a football game, we had a starting freshman that starts for us. He also started as cornerback for us on the varsity football team. Like, you just see more of those freshmen just get ready to play. Their skill level's better, and in some cases their maturity is beyond their grade. So that's kind of been an interesting evolution the last so many years in sports, and those kids are ready. Like they want to play varsity. Sometimes in the past they would just want to stay at the freshman level and stay with all their friends down there, and I get it. But now kids they want it, and that's good.
Yeah, no two ways about it. Hey, Brian, before we let you go, this is like an observation for me. I left this area to try to chase down a major league broadcasting career, and I came back home, I want to say the 9 years ago, 2011-2012 season, and I had been, about 7 different states. And I come home, and I thought that the basketball was nowhere near the basketball that we saw or that I saw in the 70s and 80s and early 90s. But damn, the last 9 years, basketball has greatly, greatly improved. Not just the boys, the girls, both games have greatly improved over the last 9 years.
Now, are you talking in this area or just in the state itself?
In this area. I think in this corridor of our area, this part of northeastern Ohio, we were so far behind Canton and Akron and Cleveland and Columbus. Yeah. I don't think that we've caught up, but the gap has narrowed significantly over the last 9 years.
I agree. And no, we haven't completely caught up to, like, let's just say the Stark County area, the Federal League schools, which still to this day amazes me how you can have so many, like, Division I and II high schools that are basically 10 miles apart, but yet each one of those schools always have, like, size and skill each year, and year in, year out. And it's just crazy how that continues up there. But you're right, we have taken some leaps and bounds to kind of close that gap with them. But I think that goes back to, as well, kids are more active, they're more involved, and it's a year-round thing now. It's whether you just play one sport, you're putting 12 months into it, or you're a multi-sport athlete, you're putting just more than the season itself into it. And I think, for example, here, we hired a strength and conditioning coach, I think 2 years ago it was. It's made a big improvement in all our programs. And it might not show yet in wins or losses, but it shows with staying healthy, staying safe, the strength, the agility, the coordination. And a lot of those bigger schools have a strength and conditioning coach. And that's a huge step that we took as a program, all our programs, to go see him. And I think that helps narrow the gap, to some of those Canton schools or Akron schools that might have something like that. But yeah, we're not there yet as an overall, county to getting up there, but we have narrowed it, and you just got to keep working at it, and hopefully you get those kids that develop and stay with it and stuff like that, and it's exciting. There's no doubt about it.
Hey, basketball Santa, I'm sure that on the top of your wish list is COVID and health free for the rest of the year.
There's no question about it. But you know what, Ron? I mean, it's. I even told our players. I said I couldn't imagine like if you're like a first or second year coach and this hits you, like your head has to be spinning. It has to be going crazy because us coaches that have been around, we've always seen things, and you learn from it. But like even me, like it's every day you check an email and you're hoping something's not on there from another school saying we can't play. And then you're always checking your schedule to see if it's stressful, but it's just the time we live in, and we just got to do the best we can with it. And in the big scope of things, it's still athletics. It's still a sport. Let's go out there, have fun with it, but keep the bigger picture in mind that, hopefully everyone out there stays healthy because that's what it is all about right now.
Yeah, let's get the first win tonight, and hopefully much, much healthier days and just cohesiveness for the team. It's amazing that you guys have only had one practice with all of your team together. That's mind-blowing. Since November 1st, you've only had one practice where everyone's been healthy at the same time. That's probably the biggest Christmas wish for you, Coach.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
All right, best of luck to you tonight and through the rest of the season, Coach.
I appreciate you having me on, Ron. Thank you.
You got it. Brian Beanie, the head basketball coach at Austintown Fitch High School. That is mind-numbing. You start the season, with the practices and whatnot, because, obviously for football it's 2-a-days August the 1st, and then they go to the season in the third or fourth Friday in August. Well, it's the same thing in basketball. You'll start preparing for the season officially. Let me do the air quotes. Officially, the 1st of November. And you'll get your practices in. Now, some teams, they love doing the Midnight Madness thing. If it's on a Friday night / Saturday morning, well, the kids are going to be sleeping anyway on Saturday because they get a chance to sleep in. Some coaches like to take a page out of the college basketball playbook and start their practices at midnight and do a Midnight Madness thing and do like an hour's worth of practice and then get the kids home, get them into bed and whatnot. Now, obviously, in today's world, probably not the case, especially since Governor DeWine is telling everyone to go home by 10 o'clock, so it's not going to happen. But I just find it very, very horrible that Austintown Fitch, since November the 1st, and you got to think, you're practicing Monday through Saturday. So you're going 6 days a week. Nobody practices on Sunday, and if you do, shame on you. You shouldn't be practicing on Sunday. Sunday should be a day of rest. Sunday should be a day of family. Sunday should be a day of going to church and whatnot. So Monday through Saturday. And they're Monday through Saturday, the whole 9 yards, Monday through Saturday. I would to further cement the point home. Hang on a second. Let me go through the days here, because November the 1st, that's on a Sunday. So November the 2nd, everything starts. All right. So you got 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 41 days. You've had 41 days, not including the Sundays. 41 days from November the 2nd, which is a Monday, to today. 41 days. And in all but one day, Austintown Fitch has had a healthy roster. Yikes. That's scary. Now, obviously, if you're a coach and you want to sit on basketball Santa's lap and ask for something, Brian Beanie's going to be asking for health. There's no two ways about that, because this is a good Fitch team. I mean, I look up and down the roster, and there's a mixture of veterans and kids, and the veterans have done some pretty good things, and this team is athletic as all get out. This is supposed to be a pretty impressive Austintown Fitch team, and the only reason why things aren't going too well right now is the fact that he hasn't had any health at all. One practice with his entire team. That's good God, that's frightening. And let me just add, Brian hit the nail on the head. If you're a first or a second-year coach and you're dealing with COVID, you're dealing with something that, frankly, we've never had to deal with, that's, good God, that would be mind-numbing. If you're just new to this, and you've got all your practices, you've got everything, written down, what you want to do on a daily basis. You're organized and everything is going great. And you've got your players and you've got your practices down to a T, down to the last minute, and you got your schedule, and all hell breaks loose and COVID just ruins all of that stuff. If you're a first or second year coach, I don't even know what to say. I would not know what to say. The veteran coaches, hell, even those guys are struggling with this. It's crazy stuff. No two ways about it. All right, we're going to take a timeout. On the other side, we'll take some phone calls. 330-886-0813. Christmas is past. Right, Charles Dickens. What was it, Charles Dickens or no? It's a wonder. I'm going to have to look this up. Christmas of the past, Christmas present, and Christmas of the future. I think it's Charles Dickens. The Browns are about to have a ghost of Christmas past 2 times over on Sunday night. I'll explain a little bit. And we'll also look forward to hearing from Josh Scott, the head basketball coach over at Heartland Christian. He'll be calling in the program at 1:15 as we talk with him. At 1:15, we'll hear from Todd Mcelroy, the head basketball coach at Canfield, at 1:45. Nick Miller from Beaver Local will call the show at 2:15. We'll take some phone calls in a bit. It is a Friday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown.
21 News.
Let's get right to our top story tonight.
More experienced reporters.
A new Wilmington restaurant.
GM Lordstown.
Telling more local stories.
We'll look at efforts
Boy
to
is
curb
recovering from a broken.
Around our
Good
valley.
afternoon.
in Niles.
We are here in Youngstown, right up.
Because you expect
It's important for everyone. No place like home.
more local news.
In Mercer County Court.
Become life threat.
21 News is our valley's #1 local news.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
Attention football fans, order Coca's Pizza tailgate package for only $54.99. You'll receive 24 slices of our delicious cheese pizza, 20 jumbo wings, and 2 of our famous foot-long pepperoni rolls. Coca's Pizza, we serve it hot.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsuranceSolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Your Armstrong services are more important than ever. There are more and more connected devices in the home these days. To get the most out of your experience, you need a network that is always getting better. You deserve superior performance, and that's what Armstrong offers every day. Whether you're working from home, enjoying your favorite content together, or simply catching up while apart, count on Armstrong to keep you connected to what matters most.
To Greenwood Chevrolet because
I was really interested in looking at the tracks.
Because I wanted my dream truck.
Because I've been going there for 20 years. I think whenever we go there, whatever car we're looking for, they have tremendous inventory.
If you're looking for people who care about you, Greenwood is the place to go.
You know, it's like family there. The girls know me in service. It's Miss Kim in the Tahoe.
I'm really happy that I went
to Greenwood Chevrolet.
Because they really went
the extra mile for me.
Now we're going the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
For heating, cooling, and indoor air quality, the Mahoning Valley trusts MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning, offering worry-free repair, service, and installation. Call MP Vivo today for a free estimate.
MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. We're your energy-efficient experts.
Welcome back to a Friday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. All right, so Sunday nights, Browns are playing the New York Giants. And it feels like the Browns are about to get a visit 2 times over from Christmas past. Now, of course, we're talking about A Christmas Carol, the novel by Charles Dickens. Now, I'm not about to sit back and say that the Cleveland Browns are Ebenezer Scrooge. That part of it is, no, that's not the case at all. Browns are not Ebenezer Scrooge. However, Christmas past, quite real. When you consider the fact this franchise, not exactly been a great franchise since the team was reborn after the Art Modell Cleveland Browns and the Paul Brown Cleveland Browns were left and went to Baltimore, and the new Cleveland Browns came back in 1999. It hasn't been a very nice journey. I think 2003 they went to the playoffs. 2007 was the last year in which they were above 500. Now this year they'll be above 500, and hopefully this year, knock on wood, they'll get into the playoffs for the first time since 2003. But a trip to Christmases past is it's in the making. For you see, Jason Garrett, you remember Jason Garrett, the former head football coach of the Dallas Cowboys. He is now the offensive coordinator for the New York Giants. Jason Garrett tested positive for COVID on Thursday. And Jason Garrett's assistant, the assistant offensive coordinator for the New York Giants, will be calling the plays on Sunday night for the New York Giants against the Browns. Only the assistant was the former coach of the Cleveland Browns last year, Freddie Kitchens. He's going to be back opposing the Browns this time, as Freddie Kitchens will be calling the plays on Sunday night for the New York Giants because, again, Jason Garrett tested positive for COVID. Oh, but it gets better. Giants starting quarterback Daniel Jones, he's banged up. He's got a couple of leg injuries, and they're not sure whether or not he's going to be able to play. If he does not play, another trip to Christmas past, backup quarterback Colt McCoy. Browns fans should be pretty familiar with this guy. He started 21 games for the Browns from 2010 through 2013. As a matter of fact, he was the starting quarterback when the Browns were 7-4 and in a pretty decent position back in 2013. And then, of course, as everyone knows, Jimmy Haslam told the then head football coach, Coach Pettin, to insert Johnny Jackass to be the starting quarterback despite a 7-4 record. And, of course, Johnny Jackass became the starting quarterback, and, 5 losses later, and the Browns were 7-9, and then everything went to hell in a handbasket. Off went Pettin, off went about 2 or 3 more coaches, and now we finally have, or the Browns finally have their guy, apparently. But the ghost of Christmas past could very well be playing on Sunday nights for the Cleveland Browns. Now, obviously, as I mentioned, the Browns are not Ebenezer Scrooge. That's not where we're looking at here. But the fact that they have to go into their past history or recent past history, I think it's going to be pretty interesting on Sunday night. Even if Colt McCoy does not play, Freddie Kitchens calling the plays for the Giants, this could be a lot of fun. And wouldn't it be so Browns if the Giants, who, by the way, do have something to play for. I mean, let's not forget about the fact that the New York Giants are 1 game in back of Washington for first place, and they hold the tiebreakers. And I almost said Redskins. Not allowed to do that. Not in my house. You can't do that. You can't say that word. The Washington Football Club will have already played their game on Sunday. So they're playing Seattle. So let's say the Seahawks beat the team formerly known as the Washington Redskins. Giants know what they need to do. This ain't a slam dunk. Just saying, it's not a slam dunk. I obviously hope the Browns win, but this game is not a slam dunk. And I made mention of this on Tuesday when we did the show. The final hurdle for this organization is now, okay, in previous years, a loss like Monday night puts the organization sideways. And a sideways organization tends to lose 3, 4, 5 games in a row, at least for the Browns. When they went sideways, they normally started a long losing streak. This is going to be the final test of the organization, because if the Browns happen to lose to the New York Giants, there's going to be more than a few people that are going to just say, same old Browns. And that might not be the case, but you lose to the Giants, and the Giants have a losing record. Pretty good case that, that's a pretty strong case that you can sit back and go, oh, geez, same old Browns. Now, obviously, you've had the Jets, and the Jets are winless, and they probably will be winless, and it should be a win for the Browns. But then you got the Steelers coming up, and Pittsburgh's going to have to play for something because Buffalo ain't going to be losing anytime soon. And, now if they do, then obviously Pittsburgh doesn't have to play their regulars. They'll just have the number 2 spot. That game against Indianapolis, assuming that Buffalo doesn't lose another game, that game against Indianapolis the Sunday before the final week of the season, or the penultimate Sunday, I think it just grew my IQ 5 or 10 points. The penultimate Sunday, if they win, okay. But if they don't win, Steelers are going to have an awful lot to play for. So they may not rest their regulars against the Browns, unlike in previous years where they had everything sewed up and they really didn't have anything to play for, and you didn't want your veterans to get hurt before the playoffs. So, they rested a lot of their regulars. I don't think this is going to be the case this year. And Pittsburgh is going to have something to play for. Not the division, but they'll probably have the 2 seed to play for, especially if Buffalo keeps winning. I think it's going to be interesting, but a visit from the ghost of Christmas past in Freddie Kitchens, and I wonder if he still has the Waffle House menu that he used when he was calling plays for the Browns. I kid, obviously. All right, 330-886-0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, open for business. With you till 3 o'clock. On this Friday, plenty of basketball, plenty of boys basketball on the network tonight. Made mention that all of these games, with the exception of Lisbon and Southern, all of these games have a 7 o'clock start. Lisbon and Southern has a 6:30 start. Now, we use air quotes because, as everyone should know by now, the start is really predicated on how well the varsity or the junior varsity game goes. But here's the schedule for tonight. Lisbon will be hosting Southern. That should be a really good EOAC contest. Lisbon is having an outstanding year. Southern is just coming back from their hiatus on sports. What was it, about a week or so ago? The Southern Board of Education said, you know what, we need to get these kids back to playing sports, and so they did. Now the only school in the EOAC that is not playing any sports right now and will not through mid-January is East Palestine. Fitch will be hosting Ursuline tonight, and again, we certainly wish the best for the Falcons as well as the Ursuline Irish, but we had Brian Beanie on in about, 10, 15 minutes or so ago. And, man, I'm still blown away by the fact that since November the 1st, or November 2nd, when they had their first practice, because November 1st was a Sunday, but since November the 2nd, assuming there are no Sunday practices, there are 41 days, not including Sundays, between November the 2nd and today, December the 18th, 1 week from Christmas. There are 41 days, not including Sundays. And Brian Beanie said that his team has not been completely together but once. That is mind-blowing. You can't really do an awful lot or expect an awful lot when you're not all together. Man, that's, God, 41 practices, 41 days, whether it be practice, game, whatever, and your team isn't together except one time? Oh, wow. Y'all need some health up there. All right, Boardman is going to be hosting Mooney tonight. Columbiana is hosting Wellsville. Springfield hosting Sebring. Struthers will be hosting East Liverpool. Valley Christian will be hosting Leetonia. And West Branch will be hosting Marlington. Now, the Lisbon Southern game is a scheduled 6:30 start, meaning that the JV game gets underway at 5 o'clock. The rest of the games, the other, let me see what we got, 3, 6, 7 games in the area in our YSN family. The other 7 games will start at 7 o'clock, or has a scheduled start for 7 o'clock. That means that the JV games will be getting going at 5:30. JV games will start at 5:30. So there you go. All right, last night on the hardwood, I made mention, Larry Scragg and I were in Campbell doing the Crestview-Campbell game. Crestview getting a victory over Campbell in that game. Krista Perry got her 1,000th point. We certainly congratulate her for that amazing accomplishment. Elsewhere around the YSN family, it was Jackson Milton over Lowellville, 64-39. We made mention Crestview knocking off Campbell last night, 60-20. Mooney upended Columbiana, 46-41. United went up to Leetonia and beat the Bears, sent them to their first loss of the season, 42-32. South Range, an impressive win over Jefferson, 64-30. And Poland gets a victory over Struthers last night in girls basketball, 43-32. So congratulations to those teams that won. And let's see, Poland is now 4-1. That's an impressive record. Made mention United having a very good year since they finally saw something on film that needed to be corrected, and since then they have taken off. And that's a solid win. Solid win. Go up to Leetonia and knock off the Lady Bears. It's a good victory. All right, coming up in about 15 minutes or so, we will hear from Josh Scott. Josh Scott is the head basketball coach at Heartland Christian. Now, to give everyone just the little 411 on Heartland Christian. Relatively new school. And I say new within the last, 20, 25 years, somewhere in that vicinity. Relatively new athletically as well. They do not have a football program, nor do I expect them to have a football program anytime soon. But here's what they do have, and this is so very impressive. And we were talking about this, Larry and I, yesterday. And the reason why we were talking about it yesterday was there was no JV game in Campbell last night with Crestview and Campbell. There was no JV game. What there was a freshman boys basketball game. The Campbell freshman boys were playing Heartland Christian. Now, keep in mind, Heartland Christian is one of the smaller Division IV schools in our area. And yet they have more than enough numbers to have a freshman, JV, and varsity program in high school. And, oh, by the way, they have a pretty good 7th and 8th grade program. They had a really good 7th grade program last year. My team split with them. Now, as everyone knows, and we're in my alma mater, I didn't go cradle to graduation from Leetonia. I actually spent the first 3 years in Boardman. But you go from one of the largest schools in our area to one of the smallest schools in our area, and it's certainly a culture shock. But when I was in school, and it wasn't much bigger back then, I think our graduating class was like 70, if that. We had a freshman boys basketball team. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, we had about 19 or 20 kids playing freshman basketball that year. I don't know why. I mean, not many of them stuck around and played basketball sophomore, junior, and senior year, which is probably one of the reasons why we were not a very good basketball team. And probably one of the reasons why Leetonia through the years has not really been a solid basketball program per se. But it is possible for some of the smaller schools to have a freshman basketball program. Now, unfortunately, it's not a reality around this area. And here's where I'm getting at. Heartland Christian's freshman team, they're not going to be playing anybody. You know, Lisbon doesn't have a freshman basketball team. Leetonia sure as hell doesn't have a freshman basketball team. I don't think Columbiana does. Pretty sure United doesn't. There's a good amount of teams in the EOAC that don't have a freshman basketball team. And there's probably a good amount of teams in the MVAC, both Scarlet and Gray, that don't have a freshman basketball team. So where are you going? Well, you're going to be playing some teams a little bit bigger. Poland, Struthers, Canfield, Boardman, Fitch, Harding. Oh, wait a second. I mean, Heartland Christian, I mean, it's a small school. You're going to be playing all these big... Trust me. That's going to be really good for your program in the next couple of years. And participation is one of the big reasons why you're just not able to have a freshman basketball team. If you don't have a large amount of sophomores, juniors, and seniors playing basketball, then there is no way in hell that you can put together a freshman basketball team, because the reality is the freshmen would have to be needed to play on a JV team. And one of the last steps for our area, and we made mention of this with Brian Beanie, over the last 9 years, and I've been back home for 9 years, over the last 9 years, basketball has gained considerable ground on the areas that went right past them. But those areas, by and large, have freshman basketball, along with junior high basketball and a youth basketball program. And a lot of our teams, they have the youth basketball program. Man, was it a couple of years ago, when I was involved with LASA, which is up in Leetonia, they had tournaments, 4th, 5th, 6th grade, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. And they'd have tournaments up there on a weekend basis after the holidays. And you'd have it in January, and I think in early February, they finally crowned a champion. But on Saturdays and Sundays, they're having these tournaments. And you should have seen the communities that were getting their 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th graders up to Leetonia. And you'd use the high school gym, you'd use the middle school gym, and it was a lot of fun. And it was great to see all of these communities. Boardman would send 3 or 4 teams. Fitch would send 3 or 4 teams. Poland would send a couple of teams. Canfield would send a couple of teams. Struthers had a couple of teams. And then you had Leetonia, Lisbon, Columbiana, and all these other, smaller schools having their teams and whatnot. And it was a grand time. Fantastic time. And watching these kids and watching their stuff and playing basketball and whatnot, and they're having a grand old time, and the game is being learned and everything. And man, that's good. It's great. But the missing ingredient for this area, by and large, the participation from 9th grade to 12th grade, to the point where you have a freshman program, a JV program, and a varsity program. And our next guest will be calling in about 10 minutes or so. Heartland Christian, and probably the reason why they have it is because they don't have football. I mean, that is the reason. They don't have football. So this is basketball. They've got plenty of sports, but basketball is, for the guys, that is the primo sport to play. And they have freshman, JV, varsity. And predictably, they're having a pretty good year. And they'll continue to play some pretty impressive basketball. 4-1 on the campaign. Then opening night loss to Salem. They have since beaten United, Grand Valley, Camel, amongst other teams, and we'll catch up with Josh Scott, the head basketball coach at Heartland Christian, who will be playing Valley Christian on Saturday night. And it's a great story. And I saw their freshmen play. And I'll tell you what, their freshmen could play. They went to Camel. They beat the Camel freshman team. I'd love to see as many of our basketball schools in this area, both boys and girls. I would love to see freshman basketball reinstated. But the interest, unfortunately, in some of these schools is just simply not there. If you took the freshmen away, then you wouldn't have a JV team. So the interest level just isn't there quite yet. Hopefully it gets to that point. I'd like to see that. Because the really solid state caliber, state championship type of programs, they got a freshman team. Now, that doesn't mean that the freshmen don't, a freshman kid that's uber talented can't go on the varsity team. Hell no, that person can go on the varsity team. Of course that person can, he or she. But those really, really good programs, oh yeah, they got a freshman program. And they got a solid youth program prior to junior high. And then you get them into junior high and you get them immersed into what you're going to be doing on the high school level. And then they, if they stay with it, some of those kids are going to stay on the freshman team. The uber talented freshmen may go jump up and play junior varsity. Or if they're really insanely talented, they'll go up and play varsity basketball. Yeah, the freshman program, that's needed. That is most definitely needed. All right, we're going to take a timeout. On the other side, hopefully, we are going to hear from Josh Scott. He is the head basketball coach at Heartland Christian. The Lions are 4-1. And for Heartland Christian, here's the other thing. Heartland Christian is now, their school is located where the old Columbiana High School used to be. The old Columbiana High School was just off of Main Street. And the gymnasium back then, with the colors of red and white, the gymnasium back then was a lot of red and white. I mean, it's Clipper Gymnasium. It's a nice gymnasium. They have since turned everything purple. Now, the Lions, obviously, they're black and they're purple. That's their color scheme. And the seats are purple. The benches are purple. Everything is purple in this place. Hence the Purple Palace. And it's a cool gymnasium. The color scheme looks phenomenal. And we'll definitely talk with Josh Scott, the head basketball coach from Heartland Christian, coming up in a few minutes. It's basketball. It's Friday. We got basketball games on the network. We'll tell you what is going on tonight, and we'll take some phone calls as well. 330-886-0813. We'll take a timeout, be back with more. It is a Friday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown.
It's storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Rain will come and go tomorrow. There'll be some dry intervals.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Hi everyone, this is DJ Yoakley with Your Sports Network. We appreciate your support of YSN and welcome you to the YSN family. Our broadcast streams are brought to you live at no cost to you by sponsors that are local to this community. Without the vision and generosity of our sponsors and partners, we would not be able to bring this game to you today. So please support the great businesses and leaders that are making this game possible. And if you're a business in need of great advertising and sponsorship opportunities, feel free to head over to our site for more information on the right fit for you. We are local, we are loyal, and we are live. We are YSN.
Ah, the details. Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is one fine ride. Perfect cornering, superb handling, sporty and stylish, power to spare, plus awesome mileage. Yeah, jaw-droppingly beautiful lines and well appointed with luxurious trim. Put more oomph in your life and start beholding the molding. Find your home's fine hardwood at BairdBrothers.com.
No matter what the weather, be prepared with a reliable, efficient Rude gas furnace or air conditioner from MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. Call your energy-efficient expert, MP Vivo, today for a free estimate.
Here at MP Vivo, we rely on Rude, and so should you.
Welcome back to a Friday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com. Ron Potesta with you. The MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline will be up momentarily. Right now, we go to the said MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline, where we find the head basketball coach for Heartland Christian, Josh Scott. Coach Scott, how are you today, sir?
Doing very well. How about you?
Cannot complain. Okay, so as we go into the 2020-2021 campaign, a campaign that is filled with COVID, filled with questions, and filled with games that were supposed to be played but are going to be rescheduled, how are you guys dealing with all of this at Heartland Christian?
Well, I'll tell you what, we really are blessed where we are. They've done such a good job from an administrative standpoint to, have us doing all the right things and sanitizing and, keeping everything going. We look at other schools. I've talked to a couple other coaches that, are out, and for us to just flat games already is just it's crazy to even think, because everybody else is either shut down or moving around, and really we've done a lot of that as well. We've gotten to pick up. We picked up Salem, Campbell, and Grand Valley. So those are three teams that we did not have on the schedule going into November, and we're able to pick them up and play. So we've been really fortunate compared to other schools.
How have you guys been dealing with the practices? And I make mention of this because I know coaches have to wear the mask during the course of practice, and you got to imagine it's so difficult to bark out instructions when you have a mask on.
Yeah, it's been an adjustment for all of us. I guess the silver lining is the kids really have to pay attention closer than they ever have to make sure that they can hear what we have to say and what's going on. But, our guys have just been, they've really bought into the idea that it's not coach speak anymore. It's really, play every day like it's your last, and because it could be. And, we never know when we're going to get that call. So they really do a good job of staying focused and listening the best they can. And we just do the best we can to make sure that, we can communicate situations. So,
it's interesting that you bring that up. And I'm wondering if there is a silver lining in this very dark cloud that we've experienced over the last 9 months or so. Is it the fact that kids are now going to be more determined than ever to go at it really, really hard, knowing now that at any moment in time everything can be taken away from them?
I think if they've got their head right, then yes, that's where we're at, and I think that's our job as the coaches to just keep in their minds that listen, this is legitimate, and this is something we could get a call this afternoon and boom, your game's canceled, or hey, your season's now changed, that we're out for so many weeks or whatever. So I think the kids definitely, in the Purple Palace, it's like that. Our kids, we actually had the best practice of our season last night, and I told them today I expect the same thing, and we want to make sure that we have, no regrets at all as we go forward. So.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the Purple Palace as we are speaking with Josh Scott, the head basketball coach at Heartland Christian. Now, back in the day, Heartland Christian, the home of Heartland Christian used to be the home of the Columbiana Clippers, and Columbiana had their basketball floor, which is now Heartland Christian's floor, and everything was painted red because that was their color base, and it was a nice gym, and it still is a very nice gym, I might add. You guys purchased Columbiana High School not too long ago, and the gymnasium gets a complete, and I do mean complete, renovation to where everything is now purple. And I walked into this place broadcasting the Heartland Christian Camel game, and I'm telling you right now, Coach, I was looking over my shoulder every so often to see if Barney was going to be around.
It's that's actually Susie Shields and I. That was an ongoing joke when I was actually for a few years the athletic director and boys coach over at Sebring, and we would play. And at the time, they actually had Purple Palace kind of graffiti sprayed onto the floor, and so I would always joke with Susie and say, hey, can't wait to get to the Palace and everything else. But it truly, now since then, they've redone the floor, and it looks beautiful. I mean, it does. They've done a really good job. The school has with keeping that up to date and keeping it nice. But that was definitely the ongoing joke before I even came over there, that we're entering the Purple Palace. And truly, you can, if you look close enough, there's some spots on the rails and everything else where that red kind of shows through, that the purple maybe got chipped off or whatever. So there's still some of that Columbiana red in that gym a little bit.
Well, Coach, one of the other things that you've renovated is the program, and I talked a little bit about this already today. The fact that Larry Scragg and I were broadcasting the Camel girls game against Crestview, and we get there early so we can put our equipment together and not have to worry about any of the things going wrong. Well, sure. We thought, okay, we're going to see a JV game between Camel and Crestview. No, that wasn't the case. Instead, we saw a freshman basketball game, and I'm like, oh, okay, freshman boys. Camel's going to be playing someone. And I looked, and I was like, wait a second, these kids are wearing Heartland uniforms. How the heck does Heartland have a freshman basketball program when they're smaller than Leetonia, for God's sake? And then it dawned on me, and maybe the reason why, and Coach, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the fact that you guys don't have football, this is the one really big caveat sport where the kids are like, yeah, I want a piece of this. So they're now focused toward basketball, and you have huge numbers with your basketball program.
We do. We're very, very fortunate. Last year, last year I want to say we had 18, 9 through 12, and then this year we've come out with 25. Really nice freshman class that you got to see. We're really excited about them. But, we just have, I think there's some truth to that, without the football program, basketball is, basketball, baseball, and we've got soccer, we've got golf, we've got cross, and, so we've got some sports to offer, but without the football, in that big time sport, the whole state is football, but I think there is some truth to that, we get some numbers in that way. So we're just trying to build a culture over there that, it's hard work, but it's also a lot of fun, and we want people to be a part of it, and we welcome that.
Well, let me ask you, because obviously there's a majority, if not all of the EOAC doesn't have a freshman program, and the majority of the MVAC Scarlet and Gray tier doesn't have a freshman program. You played Camel yesterday. Who else do you play on your freshman schedule?
So we're working really hard to figure that out. We've had a lot of changes. I know, we kind of worked with Columbiana and Lisbon early, but they, between quarantine and numbers and all of that, it's been a little bit of an issue. We've talked to Brookfield. We've talked to some teams up north. And really, we're not afraid. We've played Minerva. We've scrimmaged with them. We're just looking at, we really have no preference for schools with that team. We're willing to play anybody. So we've talked to some of the, like a Marlington, or even we're going to contact West Branch, and we're just trying to figure out, what we can do in that regard just to get them games. But, a lot of those kids, too, are also going to be playing some JV minutes as well. So, they're not going to lose, a whole season out of it. But, just to get them, we're going to try and get into that 10-game range there. But what a luxury to have, to get those kids that extra time.
Well, it's only going to make your program better in the next couple of years. Not that your program is not any good right now, Coach. I mean, good Lord, you're 4-1, and you've played some solid basketball along the way.
Yeah, we're kind of scratching the surface of where we can be, and some of the kids I know, they're looking at me crazy when I'm not satisfied with the 76-38 win, over Urban Academy or, the Campbell game. But we're trying to get to another level. That's our goal, and we're not anywhere near yet. We're definitely not an elite team or anything like that right now, but we feel like if we can improve and keep working on some of the weaknesses. That was our talk yesterday at practice, is that we're going to try and turn some of our weaknesses into strengths, and if we can do that, we have a chance to be really good. But right now we've been fortunate to get some wins and beat some teams that maybe we would not have in the past, and that's a really good first step. But I didn't come here for any kind of moral victory or anything like that. What kind of sold me was Mrs. Shields talking to me about how hungry this program was and the school was to have real success, and that's what we're pushing for.
Well, Coach, you come from a very winning environment over in Sebring. And, I know back in the day, Sebring was the gold standard for Class A and Division IV basketball. If you go into the 70s, 80s, and even into the 90s when Rick Brook was there, and then in the years in which Coach Brook left the program was still in very good hands. How much of the Sebring experience have you brought into Heartland Christian?
Well, I think there's definitely been some. I think that we just from how the hard work and you take a little bit of that tradition and bring that over. But I think more than anything, we just try to make sure that whatever team we have, we're tailoring to the talents that team has. So it's we're teaching different. We're probably completely different than we even were at Sebring when it comes to any kind of exos or anything like that, but just trying to bring in the idea that you're never satisfied. And I played at West Branch, but I spent a lot of years with Coach Brook doing summer camps and everything when I was a kid, and it was something I always kind of had in the back of my head, that how cool would it be to play for him, such a legendary coach. But I just got to experience watch some of those games, and my dad played at Sebring, and So we had, we got to experience that, but we're trying to bring, this is kind of all about Heartland here. We're trying to develop our own kind of culture and start here. But yeah, I mean, it definitely is something in the back of your head. You kind of bring whatever strong suits you had from that previous program, sure.
Saturday night, you guys will take a trip up to Youngstown to take on Valley Christian, and two really good programs facing off on Saturday night. What do you know about this program? And obviously, it's not the first time that you two teams have met, I guess.
Sure. Yeah, this is the first time that we will have played them through Heartland. But we had some games with them while we were at Sebring over at the tip-off in Lisbon early in the season. We've seen them. Dolph just does a really good job. They always have really good athletes. They have got kids that know how to play the game. We expect to get pressed. We expect to get trapped, and for them to use their athleticism. So it's definitely going to be a challenge for us, and we're really excited about it as a team. It's something that as we go forward, we've got some games that are very meaningful. And without being in a conference, you look at a team like, Valley, we've got Lowellville, we've got Crestview. Those guys, they're all on the road. So we've got a schedule coming up that, we have a couple teams from our own district. We've got a local team that brings back, Lowellville too, but they bring back all these kids from last year that, their expectations are pretty high. So we have an opportunity to kind of really gauge and see where we are, amongst our peers here coming up. So it's really exciting for our program.
Coach, you mentioned the fact that Heartland Christian does not have a conference per se. Is there any talk of changing that in the near future?
We're definitely willing and able and open. That's something that we would like to see happen for our kids. It's all about the kids, and it would give them an opportunity to maybe get recognized like some of the other conference kids do. We've talked about the NAC, we've talked about EOAC, we've talked about MVAC, some of these local conferences, but at the end of the day, we're kind of at the mercy of them, and them allowing us in, and not having football, it definitely puts us behind the eight ball in that regard. But we're hoping that at some point, one of these conferences would look at, a ninth basketball team or a ninth baseball team not being any kind of problem, but more of a solution, especially, when you play 22 games a year, 16 conference games definitely wouldn't be a problem. I don't think, that's just kind of where I'm at. But, we're just kind of at the mercy of the conference. So
listen, not only that, you include, and I'm just going to speak boys basketball, but I have seen the girls basketball team, and they're not too shabby either. You include a quality boys basketball program into the OVAC. Into the EOAC with Leetonia and Valley Christian and Columbiana and Palestine and United and Lisbon and Southern and Wellsville. That conference goes up dramatically in the basketball competition without any question.
Yeah, I think it's only good for the conference. And we look at it. So I know part of it is, we're private school, and, people worry about, I don't know if they worry about recruiting or anything like that, but we have so many kids that just from kindergarten up, they've been in our school, in our program, and it's basically majority. It's, some of them have come maybe a little later in junior high or whatever, but I just look at it like it would be a great opportunity for the conference, for our school. We're local. I mean, and we play everybody. If you look down our schedule, this year I believe Wellsville is the only team. If I'm just thinking right off the top of my head, I think Wellsville might be the only team that we don't play at least once. So we play a majority of those schools anyway. So it would be great for our kids, and that's really all. When I came into this was something I want to make sure that we could impact kids. We're here for them, and we're trying to do it for the right reasons, and that would be no different with the conference play. That just give more kids an opportunity to be part of something special like that.
All right, Coach, let's talk about your team. Is it a veteran team, or is it a team that is young and plenty to look for in the future, or a combination of both?
I would say that we're a combination of both. We do have 6 seniors. Two of them have come out having not played for a little while. Aaron Galt came back having not played last year, and then Caleb Graft is a senior who hasn't played since his freshman year. They wanted to come and be a part of it, which we were, again, welcoming, open arms, come, with your hard hat on, ready to work. And, the four others, we've got Devin Sirota, we've got Noah Pennington, Joey D'Onofrio, and Stephen Baker. And so those six, the other four have been around. They've been through the ringer, and they bring our leadership. But then we got Jonathan Berdovich, who's been a starter for his whole career, and we've got a bunch of other guys that were kind of tweener kids, and even some of those seniors. Devin spent some time playing some JV. Noah spent some time playing JV last year. So in terms of experience, we have a little bit of a mix. Stephen Barnes was out, who's a junior starter for us. He was out majority of last year. I believe he only played 6 or 7 varsity games before just injury and illness had struck him last year. So, it's kind of a good mix, and that's something that's why I say we're kind of scratching the surface with it, because Nate Garzanich is another one. Luke Reynolds is a sophomore. Nate Garzanich is a junior. Both of those guys had played some JV minutes last year. So there's just a lot. I guess I name a lot of kids because we play a lot of kids, but that's the other thing too, is our depth is something that we look at as a positive as well.
Coach, you've played 5 games to this point. You'll play your 6th game against Valley Christian on Saturday. We're 1 week away from Christmas. How comfortable are you that your team is going to be able to get in 22 games, or is that something that probably won't happen?
If I told you that I was comfortable, I would be absolutely lying to you. We just look at it like we are so excited to get another opportunity, because who knows what's going to happen, and partly, not necessarily just because of us, but other people are dealing with this virus the same way we are, where we just don't know. And it could be that Valley calls tonight and says, "Hey, there's a case, and we can't go." So we're just literally taking. It's truly every week. I'm the type of guy that's like, I like to be really organized especially with our schedule and such. Like, the joke last year was I turned in the whole season, the schedule. Here's our practice times, everything from now until March in September. And this year, somebody asked me what time practice is tomorrow, and I'm like, I don't know. Check the internet, check our website, because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or what's going on. So, it's just such a shock and a different time that, I just don't know if we're going to get them in or not. We sure hope so, and that's the intent. And we have 22 on the schedule today, so that's kind of where we are.
Coach, hopefully you get the 22 games in, but I've been saying this, and I don't know if you'll agree or not, but I think the team that copes the best with this, that is patient enough, or that is able to roll with the punches all through this, they're going to be the team that's going to probably last the longest in the tournament.
I would 100% agree with that. I do. I think that this is one of those years that the depth, again, that's why I'm mentioning that, is that we have a lot of different guys that we feel like we can put in. And I think that's going to be really important, because you just don't know who you're going to have from, if somebody becomes symptomatic or anything like that. But, as the season goes, yes, are you willing to change and adapt? Can you take a week off? Can you, all those different things. I feel like that's absolutely going to play a factor into the season.
Coach, congratulations on the very good start. Look forward to checking out the game on Saturday night, and thank you very much for your time.
Hey, thank you guys. And again, just like I told DJ when he came down, what you guys are doing is incredible for our kids. And, we talk all the time, how cool would this have been to have when we were in school, and how fortunate they are. But what you guys are doing is awesome.
Yeah, no kidding. Really it would have been all kinds of fun to have had this platform years ago when I was in school. That's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right,
Coach. Thank you again. Thanks for your time.
You got it, sir. Josh Scott, he is the head basketball coach at Heartland Christian. What a great story. The Purple Palace. You got to check that place out. It's formerly Columbiana High School. That gymnasium is now purple. Good Lord. You walk into that place and you're like, Okay, yeah. This isn't how I remember it, but man, this is cool. It's an upgrade. I prefer the color purple to the color red any day of the week. And yeah, it's definitely an upgrade, but it is certainly a very striking difference if you remember the old Columbiana High School gymnasium. Everything now is purple. All right, we're going to take a time out. On the other side, we will hear from the head basketball coach of the Canfield Cardinals, Todd Mcelroy. The Cardinals off to a slow start, 1-3 on the campaign. Now, hopefully, they will be playing basketball before December 29th. I guess the next game was scheduled to be a home game against Poland, a team that had beaten them earlier this year, 61-56 at Poland. This game is to be played on Tuesday, December the 29th. Hopefully, we are going to be seeing more Canfield games between now and the 29th. We'll see what happens. We'll catch up with Coach Mcelroy in a bit. We'll take a timeout, be back with more. It is a Friday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions, reminding you that it is open enrollment for Medicare.
Now through December 7th, those who qualify can visit our local independent agency by calling us at 330-953-3722 or visiting us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Attention all football fans. If you can't see your team play, come and dine with us and watch it live at Boardman, Canfield, or Cortland. Or staying at home, we'll deliver right to your door. That's Coca's Pizza. We serve it hot.
2020 will be a season like we've never seen before, but 21 Sports and YSN will be there for every key moment. The plays, the players, and the stories that will headline this season. Delivered by 21 Sports and YSN.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
Myers Family Insurance knows the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is here, so it's all hands on deck to make sure your plans still meet your needs for 2020.
Call us today.
You may find yourself in some difficulty this winter. Don't get whacked by high heating bills. Call Michael at MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. Michael is a trusted friend who will be able to help you with many things, like getting a 95% high-efficiency furnace this winter from Rude. Michael relies on Rude, so should you. Call MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning for a free estimate, 330-259-0486, and take care of your heating and air situation.
I went to Greenwood Chevrolet because
I was really interested in looking at the tracks.
Because I wanted my dream truck.
Because I've been going there for 20 years.
I'm really happy that I went
to Greenwood Chevrolet.
Because they really went
the extra mile for me.
Now we're going the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Welcome back to a Friday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com. The Canfield Cardinals off to a 1-3 start. And Todd Mcelroy, his team will be playing a number of games between now and December the 29th. How do I know this? Well, I know this because I spoke to the man himself on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline, the head basketball coach of the Canfield Cardinals, Todd Mcelroy. Coach, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing great. Just happy that it's Friday, and, we look forward to what is next in the next day or the next evening when we can either play or practice. So everything's going well.
Okay. So, obviously the $1 million question, and it is such a we knew that COVID was going to potentially be a big problem for the inside sports like basketball and volleyball and whatnot. And it didn't really affect volleyball all that much, but good Lord, is it affecting basketball. Give everyone just an idea of the craziness that has gone on at Canfield this year.
Well, I mean, you know, my oldest child, Zane, plays football, so I was going to football games. And then my middle daughter plays volleyball, so I was going to volleyball games. And so I got to kind of see, you know, get a bird's eye view about what was kind of going on in our stadium. And certainly it being outside, it was a little bit easier to kind of accommodate the requests that COVID protocols ask for. Going into the gym, I was a little leery about what was going to happen. But like I said, I think with the number of cases being down in the fall, the restrictions that have been put on, you know, people that were allowed in Watkins Gymnasium, you know, volleyball went off like a hitch. They did a great job, and, you know, certainly a credit to our athletic department and our administrators that, you know, continued to kind of work hard to make sure that volleyball season was going to happen, and we had a volleyball season. And, you know, as I'm sitting there in the gym, I'm watching, and I'm wondering, you know, what is basketball season going to look like? So I got a visual to what it could look like, even though it's, you know, it's a little bit easier to kind of separate volleyball teams and fans and things like that. But I was nervous. But at the same time, I was hopeful that we were still going to have a basketball season, even though it was going to look a little bit different.
Coach, I know, and I've know this from firsthand experience when I was helping out Coach D down in Leetsonia. When a coach wears a mask, you know, it's tough enough for a kid to hear what the coach has to say with all the commotion going on at practice. You put a mask on, and now all of a sudden it gets really, really difficult to have a kid understand what the coach is saying. Give everyone an idea of what life has been like for you trying to go through a practice with a mask on, trying to bark out instructions.
You know, I don't know if anyone associated with you has ever been to a practice or one of our games. I'm a pretty loud individual, and it's more or less to motivate than it is to scream and yell at a young man. But, you know, you really have to rely a lot on hand signals, and, you know, they can still hear you, but it's amazing that even from a personal viewpoint, I rely a lot on reading lips and kind of seeing what people are saying, especially when there's music on or there's crowd noise. But, you know, for myself and my team, you know, we have to have like debriefing sessions to where they can like this hand signal is what this means, and really have those kind of sessions that kids know what you're trying to convey to them, what we want to run defensively and offensively. So hand signals is a big thing for us. You know, certainly taking a page from football. And I mean, we're not going to have signs in the back in the crowd showing what our calls are. But I mean, hand signals has got to be one of those things that has to be the alternative to them being able to hear what I say or be able to read my lips and what I am saying. You know, the masks, certainly from a coach's perspective, it's you know, it's obviously necessary. We see the benefit of having it, but it's also like, you know, coaching the kids on the sideline and being able to say, hey, listen, you know, you didn't jump to the ball or you didn't close out correctly, but you also have to keep in mind that you have to tell them to put the mask on. And that's something that, you know, that has to be a part of our coaching repertoire now, just to make sure we're keeping ourselves safe and not getting in a situation where maybe we can get the school fined because we're not following proper protocols.
Todd Mcelroy, our guest, he is the head basketball coach of the Canfield Cardinals. Yeah, I had Josh Scott on from Heartland Christian, and he said something that I really hope that this is the case all around the area and throughout. He said his kids have come about in a way where they now realize that this game can be taken away from them anytime they want to, anytime that COVID strikes. So they're now making it a point where they're going to have an extra zest for practicing and an extra step in practice and leading to better ball games. Do you find that is starting to become the case with your club and you know, do you see a difference with your kids?
Absolutely. I think you go back to several months ago in July and August when we were like kind of getting back to workouts, albeit they were like small groups. We really started to kind of hit them hard with you know, taking their temperatures, getting them to wear a mask when they're coming in the facility, wearing a mask when they're off to the side. So I think it's kind of become second nature for them at this point. But now, you hate to lay any kind of a guilt trip on them whatsoever, but, with this particular community that has, professional parents that are doctors, they start to, lay it on these young men as well. But I think you have to, when things get a little bit, maybe tense in practice or something like that, you can always draw them back in and say, listen, we're lucky to be here. And to kind of give them that talk and that spiel that, hey, we may not get tomorrow, so we got to play really hard today and just appreciate every minute that you have on the basketball floor, sharing the memories with your buddies and your teammates and certainly the coaches as well. So it's definitely something that we can kind of hold in our back pocket as coaches to say, hey, listen, this could all go away tomorrow, and they get it. They do. I think they're really starting to see the weight of COVID and what they're seeing, and again, they get bombarded with the media a little bit, but I think that, it's still very much a reality for everyone. And my players really do. They do appreciate the fact that we're practicing today, and we'll have that talk with them right before we take practice. And hopefully it makes for a good practice because they realize that this could be the very last time they practice.
Coach, you're 4 games into a 22-game season, or at least on paper a 22-game season. You'll have 2 games played, one on Saturday night, one on Tuesday night before Christmas. You have a game on the 29th against Poland in Canfield. Man, I got to ask, how comfortable are you right now with the chances of you guys playing a full 22-game season?
I think you have to be realistic in the sense that now, we're, because of where we are in Mahoning County, I think that, we've pretty much played teams in Mahoning County, so we're safe there. But if we want to go outside this county, it's going to be very difficult. I know that some Trumbull County schools are just playing their league schedule. I've had, my athletic director is on the phone constantly with other teams trying to fit teams in to a schedule where other teams have dropped off. I'm going to go optimistic and say I'd love to hear that we're going to play 22 games, but I think that's going to be real difficult. And I don't think that's anything on us. I just think that it's because of other extraneous variables with other teams that aren't allowed to foot that same type of schedule. So I think we're going to be under 22, but we'll, like I said, we're just optimistic, and we just hope we get 1 game. And I know we have 4 right now, but we say it constantly. Let's get 1 more game, and we're just looking 1 game at a time. The eternal optimist in me wants to play 22, but I think that's going to be real difficult.
Well, the AD is making his money in a big way and probably deserves a raise. But you made mention you want to try to play as many teams outside of Mahoning County as possible. Well, you're going to get 2 teams on your schedule. Tell us a little bit about the 2 games that you will be playing on Saturday and Tuesday.
Well, Marlington, I'll tell you, they've gone through some injury, and they went through a little bit of a COVID situation when we were supposed to originally play them the day after Thanksgiving. But they're healthy, relatively healthy. I know that the coach's son, Connor Evanich, Nick Evanich is the head coach. He did experience an injury in football, which isn't going to really put him back on the floor until mid-January. He's about a 6'4" guard, really nice player, so they definitely miss him. But one of the things that you can say about Coach Evanich and his Marlington Dukes is the fact that they're going to be well coached, and they're going to do things the right way. They're going to screen well. They're going to play defense real well. They're going to make it very difficult for us to score, and they're going to run a number of different sets that we're going to have to kind of adjust to, and we're hoping that we can kind of do that. I think it's a little bit about pace. I think that they like to slow it down. We would like to I think against a team like Marlington, I think that we can maybe speed up the tempo a little bit and maybe get up and down the floor a little and use our depth as a weapon against them. But, hey, we're going over to their place. And, I think that playing over in Marlington territory, they're going to defend their home turf very well. And it's going to be a battle because at this point in time, you're just hoping as a team you play well. Not that you're not worried about the other squad, but you just hope the best for your team, that you can play the best of your ability.
No, I know,
and
Coach.
Then, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say it, and I know that you guys have struggled in the wins and loss column for certain, but it's not that you guys have been completely blown out of contests. I know the West Branch game got away from you, but you know the Struthers game, you guys were in that for a long period of time. The Poland game was very competitive. It's, you know, the record-wise, it's maybe a little deceiving. What are some of the things that you are going to need to do to get that record to where it should be?
Well, we need to be a better second-half team. I can say that right now, because in all the games that we've played, whether one win or our 3 losses, we didn't really perform real well in the second half. And I'd like to see, you know, I don't know if that's a conditioning thing. You know, certainly in special situations, we need to do a little bit better job of converting. You know, a young team, you kind of have to brush that in a little bit and keep working on situations and practice, and in hopes that they will get it. You know, even against South Range, you know, we in the second half, you know, I mean, we won that game because, let's be honest, we made shots in the second half. You know, without those shots going down, I really think that that's a different outcome. But, you know, we just have to be better in the fourth quarter. You know, you kind of narrow it down to stats, and you say, you know, hey, you know, we're not shooting real well from the free throw line. I think we're shooting about 56% in the fourth quarter from the free throw line, and that's something that needs to improve. And you know, we just like conversion, and we go through periods sometimes where we go through a little bit of offensive droughts. You know, I'd like to say that, you know, we want to be a defensive team. We need to keep the game in the 50s and 60s in order to have a chance to win. And I think my kids are definitely capable of that. But I think we just need to be a better second half team overall offensively.
How concerning is it for you, the fourth quarter free throws? Because, you know, I've mentioned, and I even tried to tell the kids when I was coaching junior high last year at Leetonia, how the importance of this. I mean, you're 15 feet away. You have as much time within reason to put up this shot. You have nobody anywhere close to you in terms of blocking your shot. It's just you and the basket. I don't understand how you can't hit 70% from the free throw line.
Yeah, for us, I think it might be a conditioning thing. So we took the long week this week, and we devoted a little bit of running and kind of getting our legs underneath us a little bit. I thought our conditioning was a little bit better coming into the preseason. But like I said, I think that it is a little bit mental and it is a little bit physical. So hopefully we were able to kind of do some things this week that can kind of remedy that, and that's why you practice. I mean, you know, again, you know, you try to watch film, you try to look at the stats, you try to break things down to more of a quantitative approach to the stats, and then you try to transfer that on to what you need to do at practice in order to get your team better. And I hope that going into Saturday and then Tuesday, I hope that we can do better at that in the second half, and definitely the fourth quarter from the stripe.
You mentioned Tuesday. You guys will be playing Dover. Now, is that up in Canfield, or will you be traveling?
That will be in Canfield. That'll be right here. So it's, you know, the Dover Tornadoes are, you know, Bob Von Kennel's a good friend of mine, and you know what you're going to get when you play a Dover team. I mean, they are rough and tough. They're going to screen you, and we're going to need to be ready for some physicality on Tuesday night. And that's because that's just the way Dover plays. I mean, we've seen them at summer camp. We've scrimmaged them before, and in my 11th year here, you know, we've always run into Dover, and they're always the same kind of team, even though they have different kids that come through that program.
Picks, screens, and back screens, and when I hear all of those three things, the first thing in my mind is communication, 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 and it drives me nuts when I don't hear the defense barking out what is coming, or if a kid that's being picked saying picked or help or something like that. And I got to the point where I was telling the kids that I coached last year, I was like, you guys talk all kinds of garbage and just talk and talk and talk and talk in school, in class, and you get to the basketball floor and you're quiet. What the heck is this? Communication is just so important on the defensive end when it comes to the back screens and the picks and whatnot.
Yeah, it's. I think it's one of the hardest things to teach kids today, because there's a couple theories on that. It's like, what do they not know what to say, or you want them to have a conversation out there. You want them to, you want them to, to kind of prevent the surprises that an offense can give you by trying to, see before it by communicating. Hey, there's a down screen coming, or there's a back screen coming. Make sure you jump to the ball. Don't watch the slip. You know what I mean? There's just some things that we try to instill in our young men, is just like, have a conversation out there. Like, don't be afraid, to talk to one another. And we have to remind them, and we often tell them, how difficult it would be to text your buddy while you're playing on the floor at the same time. So it's because they'll text it, but they won't necessarily say it, outward. But I think that's one of the hardest things right now to coach with kids, and getting them just to speak out on the floor. And they're exerting energy, and maybe they're tired and they can't talk, but it's so important. I think one of the most important things, no doubt about it, about being efficient defensively.
I wonder how many coaches would be willing to spend a half an hour a week just having the kids go through one of those exercises where kids being picked, and you have the kid yell at the top of his lungs, switch, pick, or something of that nature.
Yeah, I'm sure you can get some coaches to maybe contribute to that. I know I would. I mean, I have my theories, and I've tried a number of different things to try to get players to talk. I've read things, on Coach K, who runs typically man-to-man. I know he's dabbled more in zone over the last few years, but he often runs almost like a type of matchup that forces kids to talk as cutters are running through. And I think that's a good way to really simulate, giving kids something to talk about is an important thing. I remember reading that about, Coach Krzyzewski and what he does and how he kind of simulates defensive confusion to inhibit people to talk a little bit more. So I think that's something that, I kind of try to do a little bit, but I'm just constantly reminding the kids about just, have that conversation. And, if you just keep working on them, they'll eventually do it, because, and they'll start to see some of the success that it's going to bring about in a group of five that are on the floor defensively that are really doing a nice job and really stopping the easy baskets from front cuts and UCLA screens and all that make it easy for an offense to score.
Hey, Coach, before we let you go, give a little bit of credit to some of the upperclassmen and some of the kids you've been relying on this year and in previous years.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, my senior group, they're doing a nice job. I think that we have some guys that are undersized physically, but heart they work so hard, and we've been very fortunate here to have young men who, like I said, maybe aren't real big on the roster, but play a lot bigger than what they are. And I think that certainly a credit to like I said, my senior group, as I think about my seniors, Nick Panalakis, who really just works so hard in the off season to kind of be the player that he is. Trey Dye, Chase Lowry, Rowan Marinelli, Martin Escobar, all those guys, they like I said, they're not together. They can be a pretty good unit. I know that we ask a lot of them to be leaders on the floor, because we do have some younger talent, certainly, that's coming in through our junior, sophomore, and freshman group. And we ask a lot of our seniors, and we really challenge them to say, your legacy isn't necessarily who you are right now. Your legacy is what you left behind after you graduated from this institution. So, they had seniors before them that kind of paid it forward. That Kyle Gamble and guys that really brought these guys along, and that's really what carries tradition. And I know, like I said, we've had some unfortunate games here. I mean, at the start of our year, keeping in mind that those three losses that we have, there are two losses between those three teams. So it's like we're not playing slouches. We're playing pretty good teams. But I think the biggest challenge for us in any season is to continue to continue to focus on the improvement of the team overall, and hopefully those wins will come down the road.
Well, they're going to come down the road very quickly, and I know that to be a fact. And Coach, congratulations on what you've done with the program and continued success. And I'm just glad you guys are able to play basketball before the 29th. I was a little concerned when I saw that. I was like, wait a second, they've only played 4 games. This will be only 5 games and turn the calendar. So I'm glad you guys are able to get at least 2 more games in.
Well, I appreciate your concern there, Ron, for our basketball team. We're just, like I said, we're just plugging away, and we're just, we just keep doing what we're doing, and we'll do what we can do when we're told what to do, whether it's from a higher authority, and hopefully we can continue to play and we can continue to make memories for our student athletes, and that's one of the most important parts.
Saturday night in Marlington. That's a venue that I look forward to.
All right,
Coach. All the best to you.
Thanks, Ron. Thank you very much.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Todd Mcelroy, the head basketball coach of the Canfield Cardinals, as Canfield will look for their second victory of the season against Marlington on Saturday, and then Dover comes to Canfield on Tuesday night. And then the following Tuesday, the 29th, Poland will come into Canfield for the second meeting between Canfield and Poland. And I'm glad that I'm, and again, I'm only 1 year of doing coaching. It's not like I was there forever and a day, but, all the years that I've covered high school basketball or have seen high school basketball, I can literally count on one hand the amount of basketball teams that talk on defense. And it just, that these kids, they talk, they talk in class, they talk outside of class. It's good night. You gotta communicate. You gotta communicate. Even if you yell switch or pick or something, you gotta communicate. I mean, that's just all there is to it. All right, let's get to the phone lines real quick at 330-886-0813. Tony, you're on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. What's going on, Tony?
Thank you for those interviews. Those are very good interviews.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to be doing some high school basketball, and hopefully we can get a somewhat of a full season in this year.
Hey, I wanted to talk to your Dickens deal, but 2 real quick points, especially when it was brought up by the Christian Academy teacher or coach. And they both referenced it. They said, tomorrow's not promised you. And each time, now I grew up in a Catholic school, and, we go to church and stuff like that. So every time that's referenced to us, it has to do with something a lot more significant than sports.
Sure.
But they were referring to sports, but it's a great life lesson, too.
Oh, no, absolutely. Tomorrow isn't promised to anybody. And it just, you do as much as you can during the course of a day and know that, the day is over, and you hope and pray you get another one.
Yeah. Another thing, when they were talking about the masks, and you're trying to understand their difficulties in dealing with the mask, you look back, you think back, if you can remember that, if dementia hasn't hit us yet, back when we were dealing with coaches, or maybe when we had the opportunity to coach kids, so much of the communications is nonverbal facial expressions. So much of being a good coach is getting the kid to understand that you are his priority. Or you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
The child is the priority.
Absolutely.
And once they gain that, they'll run through brick walls for you. But so much of that nonverbal communication, the smirks and the grins and the head nods, gets lost with those masks.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you read someone's eyes, that's about it. But if you can't read the eyes of a person or the eyebrows going way, way down, as to say that they're really angry at you, although mine are down right now and I'm not angry at all, which that's kind of a mixed message, if you will. But it is. You're right. It's tough. You can't read someone's facial expressions when they have a mask on. It's very difficult.
Usually when they're talking to me, the swear words came out the explicit words came out very quickly. But other than that, so they came right through the mask. They would have come right through the mask.
No, absolutely.
But for the better kids.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
The nicer kids, the less annoying kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's
So,
yeah,
hey,
sure.
To your Dickens reference,
yes.
don't forget Zeitler, number one
Well, he's
voted
not playing,
hitter in the Pro Bowl.
Unfortunately, he's not playing.
Oh, he's not.
From what I understand, he wasn't playing. So, but if he does play, and I hope he does. That is
and
a Christmas
he'll line
past.
up across from Vernon sometimes.
Oh yeah. That's a Christmas. That is another thing of Christmases of the past. Absolutely.
Zeitler's playing well there too. He's the number one vote getter in the Pro Bowl. So
well, look, I mean, it was a bad trade. And I don't care if Olivier.
Well, let me go
Vernon
down
is
that
playing
trade,
well.
my friend. Whatever you feel about Julius Peppers, he's playing some pretty solid safety for them.
Yes, he is, and that's another Christmas of the past. Mr. Peppers has been playing very, very well, and you would note that he's not 30 yards away from the line of scrimmage when he's playing football for the Giants.
That's what happens when you do what your coach tells you.
Yeah.
I mean, he's doing what his coach told him. Don't forget about Dexter Lawrence, the number 17 pick that they got, who'll be playing defensive tackle, who's having a nice career.
Yep. Yeah,
so, he may introduce himself to some of the Browns there, too. And they have a linebacker, O'Shane something. I forget his last name, but he had a good season last year, good rookie season, but that was the 95th pick that they gave him. But he's hurt this year with a shoulder injury. And Jason Garrett, by the way, is a Cleveland boy. He went to university school.
Yes, he did. And now he's tested positive for COVID, and that gives Freddie Kitchens an opportunity to call the plays for the Giants. And I'm looking forward to this. This game now has a ghost of Christmas past along with it. So a Christmas carol that Steeler fans might find entertaining before the end of the night. Hopefully the Browns win, but you never know. I mean, this game now has a little more intrigue.
You're so much subtle about pitting them against each other. So much more than I am.
No, I hope the Browns can win this game, but past history. And I know that it's unfair to have the current coaching staff as part of the past history because it's their first year and they didn't have any of that history. But past history in this organization, if a team had lost a game the way they lost on Monday night, past history showed that the team went sideways and a long losing streak followed. Hopefully, this is not the case. And one would argue that this is going to be one of the last
Remember what the Buffalo
hurdles.
Bills did last year at the last 5 games?
Well, yeah, and I trust me, I remember that vividly, and it led to a less than stellar performance in the playoff game against Houston, especially in the second half when everyone looked lost in that game.
Yeah, we'll see how Johnny Baker, Baker Mayfield, whatever his name, the quarterback for Cleveland, how he reacts to Kitchens also. He wasn't very polite to Hugh on the sidelines, but I thought that wasn't appropriate.
No, it was very interesting to say the least. I don't think anybody is going to be giving the coach a football if Cleveland scores. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that was there was a lot more stuff going on with Hugh than there was with Freddie Kitchens. I would hope that nobody would be that outrageous.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it'll be interesting. Go Bills.
Yeah. Hopefully they get the job done on Saturday in Denver. Now, as a Notre Dame and Buffalo fan, I'm going to have to make sure that I'm either watching two TVs or my clicker is going to be working overtime trying to immerse.
Well, is the NFL Network on your TV?
Oh God, yeah.
Okay, I didn't know what you had at the house.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I have to feverishly go through the Notre Dame game and the Bills game against Denver, and we'll see what happens.
Are you feverishly? You really going to be sweating that hard clicking that button?
Well, I mean, it's I'm more hoping that the batteries don't go dead. That's why I'm going to have to replace them before the game starts, Tony. I'm that's the last thing that I want is batteries that go dead, so I can't watch one of the games. That would be heartbreaking.
I can just visualize you sitting there like Quagmire playing with that battery operated clicker.
What the hell's wrong with this middle of the battery here? Giggity, giggity, giggity.
Have a good weekend. Go Bills. See ya.
See ya. 330-886-0813. Somebody change this battery over here. What the hell's wrong with my remote? All right, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business. Coming up in a few minutes, we will hear from the head basketball coach at Beaver Local, Nick Miller. He'll be joining the show in a little bit. That is coming up in a bit. And it's a Friday edition of Running Point. We'll get to the high school schedule on the network tonight. We got a number of games that are going on, and we'll get to those games and we'll take some phone calls. All coming up in just a bit. Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. It's coming back in a couple of minutes. Stick around.
Baird Brothers remains your source for fine hardwood products. For the time being, we're open for customer pickup only on weekdays, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Saturday from 9 a.m. till noon. Place your order online at bairdbrothers.com. Baird Brothers, for the place you love.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
The 4M Company, being an architect and construction manager for over 40 years, has had the opportunity to use many different electrical businesses for our projects. The depth, quality, and knowledge and attention to detail displayed by Dickey Electric makes them stand out above all the rest.
For state-of-the-art expertise and a timeless commitment to our customers, contact Joe Dickey Electric. We are everything electrical.
Armstrong Local Programming has always delivered an exclusive and unique perspective on the very best events your region offers. High school sports, community events, parades, all your favorite shows from Armstrong are now calling the Neighborhood Channel their home.
Watch Out and About, Locally Speaking, and many other great local shows right here on the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel.
Find out everything that the Neighborhood Channel has to offer at ArmstrongNeighborhood.com. Spirit, town pride, local communities. Welcome to the neighborhood.
Right now is a great time to get more for your trade-in at Tri-State Ford and drive home in a new or pre-owned vehicle. Choose from our great selection of new Ford models or pre-owned vehicles. Plus, get the Tri-State Ford Advantage, including a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty and more. At Tri-State Ford, we'll pay you top dollar for your trade, but you don't have to purchase one of ours to sell us yours.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
Welcome back to a Friday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com. 330-886-0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business. Here are the games on the network tonight. Lisbon is home to Southern. That is a 6:30 start. That tells me that the junior varsity game is supposed to start at 5 o'clock. The varsity game will get underway 20 minutes at the conclusion of the JV game, a scheduled 6:30 start. Here are your other scheduled 7 o'clock starts. Fitch will be hosting Ursuline. Boardman hosting Mooney. A couple of undefeated basketball teams doing battle tonight at Boardman. Columbiana is hosting Wellsville. Springfield is hosting Sebring. Struthers will be hosting East Liverpool. That'll be a fun game tonight. Valley Christian hosting Leetonia, and West Branch home to Marlington. And those, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games are going to be 7 o'clock, scheduled 7 o'clock games. All right, let's go to the phone lines. You're on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. What's going on?
How you doing, my brother?
What's up, man?
Besides my weight, my blood pressure, and my bills, I got a couple questions because you've been having some great guests, and I've been listening and I've been learning, and but I've been talking to a couple people. Some people say it's Bush League. Some people say I don't know what I'm talking about. So I'm just gonna put it out here, okay? Now, you were talking about a 22-game season. I'm thinking high school basketball would be lucky to get 15 games in, maybe 17. I think if you was to ask any coach if they could get 15 or 17 games in right now, I think they'd be happy if they was guaranteed that.
Honestly, I think if they get their conference games in and that's it, that would be a blessing.
Now, so what I'm saying is this. A couple things. Number one, everybody makes it to the tournament in high school basketball, right?
Yes.
So let's just, of course, Coach Larica, one of the guys, one of my heroes. I admit he's one of my heroes. He play everybody because everybody makes the tournament, and it doesn't matter what your record is. But a coach is not going to say that. But I would kind of like playing freshmen at varsity level, and I would love to have a problem with playing sophomores and freshmen in varsity. But that's just me, okay? And the coach won't say that. But what I'm saying is this. Why don't we just say in 2 weeks, just like they did in football, why don't they just say in 2 weeks, we're going to start a basketball tournament. It's going to be double elimination till you get to the Sweet 16. Now, if you play in that tournament and you lose the first 2 games and you're out the tournament, well, you can do just like they did in football, just play somebody who's not in the tournament. That way we get the tournament going, and we'll get the games in, and I think it'll work. What do you think?
A double elimination state tournament.
To the Sweet 16.
Now,
because some teams...
I just assume, you know what, Emmanuel, I just assume play the conference schedules. If we're just going to go bare minimum, play the conference schedules, and then that's it. And we'll go to the tournament and just play a regular tournament and go from there.
Okay, so let's say you're from Trumbull County. Everybody else is playing. You're not playing. You get in like 2, you get in 3 games. You go to the tournament, you lose. The season's over with, right?
Well, you're not going to get 2 or 3 games in if you're playing the entire conference. You're going to get 14 games in.
Well, see, what I'm trying to tell you is some counties are playing and some counties aren't.
I get that, but when the counties play, you want to get your entire conference schedule in. It's not like all the counties are going to be shut down until the end of February.
So if you lose, then you play your league. You play your league schedule. The key is trying to get the tournament in and get a tournament winner.
The tournament's going to get in. That's going to get in. That's not a problem. That tournament is going to get in at some point in time. And now the question, and you bring up a really good question, is how many games are the area teams? How many games are the teams statewide going to be playing before they get into that tournament? That is probably the bone of contention where you are. But make no mistake, the tournament is going to be played.
And I think it should be an option, just like in football. If you get bounced out the tournament, you should be able to still play some games.
Well, here's
the thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get these seniors as many games they can play, irregardless of who they playing. I'm just talking about the senior players. I want them to play games.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get where you're coming from with that. It just I understand. This is a tough situation, a little bit tougher than football because you don't have as many months in this as football does.
And everybody doesn't play football, but everybody plays basketball.
I understand that, but like I said, you don't have as many weeks to work with in basketball than you do in football. So it's
okay. Okay. Now last night was that a gut punch or a kick to the groin to the Raiders last night or what?
They're pretty much out. A lot of stuff would have to happen A lot of stuff would have to happen. Hey, Emmanuel, I got to get skedaddling. We got our 2:15 guest coming up.
Thank you, man.
All right, see ya. All right, 330-886-0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, open for business. So we're expecting Nick Miller from Beaver Local to be calling in on the program, and we'll talk some Beaver Local basketball as the Beavers are, like everyone else, man, this situation, like everyone else, it is difficult to say the least. I know that Beaver Local has played at least 2 games. I've been having a hard time trying to figure out. I know they played Crestview earlier in the season and beat the Rebels, and I know that they were supposed to have played Indian Creek. We'll most definitely get the 411 on what is going on at Beaver Local High School with the head basketball coach of the Beavers, Nick Miller. That will be coming up in a bit. Tell you what, we'll take a timeout and we'll set things up. It is a Friday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. We're back in a bit.
21 News.
Let's get right to our top story tonight.
More experienced reporters.
A new Wilmington restaurant.
GM Lordstown.
Telling more local stories.
We'll look at
Baby boy is recovering from a broken
around our valley.
Community in Niles. We are here in Youngstown, right up.
Because you expect.
It's important for everyone. No place like home.
More local news.
In Mercer County
Before
Court.
they become life-threatening.
21 News is our valley's #1 local news.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
Attention football fans, order Coca's Pizza tailgate package for only $54.99. You'll receive 24 slices of our delicious cheese pizza, 20 jumbo wings, and 2 of our famous foot-long pepperoni rolls. Coca's Pizza, we serve it hot.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsuranceSolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Your Armstrong services are more important than ever. There are more and more connected devices in the home these days. To get the most out of your experience, you need a network that is always getting better. You deserve superior performance, and that's what Armstrong offers every day. Whether you're working from home, enjoying your favorite content together, or simply catching up while apart, count on Armstrong to keep you connected to what matters most.
To Greenwood Chevrolet because
I was really interested in looking at the tracks.
Because I wanted my dream truck.
Because I've been going there for 20 years. I think whenever we go there, whatever car we're looking for, they have tremendous inventory.
If you're looking for people who care about you, Greenwood is the place to go.
You know, it's like family there. The girls know me in service. It's Miss Kim in the Tahoe.
I'm really happy that I went
to Greenwood Chevrolet.
Because they really went
the extra mile for me.
Now we're going the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Welcome back to a Friday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com. Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. And let's get to the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, where we bring in the head basketball coach of Beaver Local, Nick Miller. Coach Miller, how are you today, sir?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much for calling in. Okay, so like everyone else, the basketball games have been far and few between. You've played 3 games this year. You've knocked off Crestview. You've knocked off Indian Creek. And last Saturday night you were defeated by Lisbon. Give everyone a taste of the craziness that has gone on at Beaver Local in trying to get games and trying to get practices and just the craziness that is COVID.
Yeah, well, it's been up and down, I'm sure, as everybody's got to learn. We actually had 3 different opponents for our first game. It was started with Southern Local, and then they shut things down. Then we picked up Big Red, and we had a snowstorm, so couldn't play that game. And then we had East Liverpool, and I think the day before that game, that one got canceled too. And then, luckily we got to open up a couple weeks ago with Crestview, and then this week we've been kind of at home waiting our turn out this time. We got bit by the bug, and we're doing our quarantine and trying to get back on the court early next week. So it's affected us pretty much the whole way from first week of November till now.
Okay, so the team is in quarantine. How do you do this as a coach? Are there Zoom meetings going on with the kids so you can get your point across via classroom? How does that work?
Well, yeah, we've kind of I've got some information out to the captain to get to the guys, and just trying to get some cardio in while we're away. Luckily, we're only down for 5 days technically, since we were on the weekend and we hadn't seen the individual for a few days prior to that. So our time isn't as much. We're trying to communicate the best we can, keep everybody engaged, and then try to get back at it. I think Tuesday's our first day back.
Nick Miller, the head basketball coach at Beaver Local, joining me on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline. How many games are you guys looking at playing before the first of the year, Coach?
Right now, I think we only have two more scheduled. We got United on the 23rd and East Liverpool on the 29th. But between West Virginia being down and everybody else being down, we could only get those 2 games really. And then we'll try to probably play 3 or 4 games a week all of January.
And you bring up an interesting point. Not only is West Virginia down, but Pennsylvania is down as well. And we bring those 2 states into play because, well, Beaver Local is very close to both the Keystone State as well as West Virginia. And there's a pretty nice basketball program across the Knoll Bridge once you cross that bridge, although most people will take a right-hand turn and head down to Mountaineer for whatever. But Oakland High School has quite the basketball program as well as the wrestling program.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Coach Everly does a great job with those guys. Coach, and we actually had them 2 times during the year, and hopefully we can get those rescheduled once they get back rolling.
And then the folks that live in Mahoning and Trumbull County that aren't near the Pennsylvania border, or at least the Beaver County portion of the Pennsylvania border, Blackhawk High School is another team that is very close and very close in size to a Beaver Local. Unfortunately, though, those 2 states, they're closed as far as high school basketball is concerned until after the first of the year. And it really puts a school like Beaver Local in a bind because, well, Beaver Local is so much bigger than some of the other schools in Columbiana County.
Yeah, you're right. And we want to try to play schools that are our size. If we can't do that till later in the year, then we got to play back-to-backs, and those are tough as well.
I want to talk a little bit about that. And Coach Nick Miller from Beaver Local joining me on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline. And, obviously, if everything goes right, you're going to have 5 games played, and then 2021 will hit. January the 4th is conceivably the first day after Christmas break. Part of you is going to want to go, okay, pedal to the metal, but, with COVID, I mean, you try to go pedal to the metal, and the further, or I should say the faster you go, the higher the risk of possibly getting another COVID scare, which puts you back into quarantine. So it's really a very difficult thing to deal with.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then, if you don't push the guys a certain way in practice, you get injuries in games because they're not used to the intensity or the environment, or, they're not in shape, and, we can't play the style that we need to play to be successful. So it's definitely going to be a learning experience for everybody.
Coach, what have practices been like with the kids? Do they understand the reality that at any given time this could be taken away from them?
Yeah. We actually had our team captain was gone for the first few weeks of practice, and then the week after that we lost another guy, and obviously we're down now. So we were trying to preach to the guys about being smart in the locker room, 4 in at a time, make sure we're spaced out, make sure we have our masks on when we need to be, and we tried to play it as safe as we could, and I forget who I was talking to, but it's kind of like an unlucky game right now. You're just kind of waiting until it's your turn, and you hope that it doesn't come back again.
In a normal basketball season, what would this Beaver local team be like? What is the potential of this basketball team, Coach?
Oh, we got some really, really hard-nosed guys and gritty. That's the reason we pulled out that game the other night with Creek. We were down 8 with a minute and a half to go and pulled that one out. But we work a ton on just the fundamental aspect of basketball and the IQs. Make sure we're in the right spots to be successful. In a perfect year, we'd be up in your face all night long, rotating guys in and out. We couldn't condition that way. We couldn't prepare that way in our scrimmages without our main core guys there. So we're trying to put that in slowly but surely as we get going. Being down this week kind of puts a halt on things, but we're going to try to get to it. These guys got a lot of heart and a lot of potential, and that they want to win. A few of them were part of that team last year that won 13 games, and big goal of theirs is to improve on that, and maybe win a sectional title or a Buckeye 8 championship along the way.
Coach, would you consider this to be a young team or more of a veteran team?
We're young as far as what we would lose to graduation. I think we were young, but as far as experience, we're right in the middle of the pack. I got a senior captain that's 4 year letterman, 3-year starter, and then 2 or 3 guys that played off the bench last year and now in the starting lineup this year. So we're about middle of the road as far as experience, that kind of thing. The youthfulness comes into play when we're not able to slow down yet. We're going 2,000 miles an hour, thinking that that's the only speed we need to go. And got to learn as you go when you get to the varsity level.
Well, going 2,000 miles an hour wouldn't be a bad thing because you need cardio for these kids while they're away from basketball. So the cardio aspect from right now and going 2,000 miles an hour is all right. But on a basketball floor, you got to learn to slow it down when need be.
That's right. You need to learn when to start and stop the race.
Coach Nick Miller from Beaver Local joining me on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. For those that are not familiar with your setup league-wise, you're too big to be in the EOAC, and the MVAC is kind of far away because Beaver Local is in southern Columbiana County. But you do have plenty of competition, and I hope I'm right with this, Beaver Local might be the northernmost school in the conference that you're in. Would that be a correct assessment, Coach?
Yep, that's correct. Yep, us and Liverpool about 5 or 6 miles separate us from being the furthest. Yep.
And Buckeye 8, tell everyone about this conference.
Well, we did have Buckeye Local in until I think this year they found a new home. I'm not sure where, but we got Indian Creek in the north side with us, East Liverpool, and Edison. And I believe Harrison Central will switch over to the other side next year to make it the full league. And then the south has St. Clairsville, Union Local, Bel Air, Martins Ferry, Harrison Central, like I said, and I think I'm missing one. I can't think of it.
It's some pretty big names, not just football-wise, but basketball-wise. It's a pretty good conference.
Yeah, and it gets us ready for sectional play. A lot of those teams actually we would maybe see in the OVAC if we were to have a tournament this year. Unfortunately, they're not going to do that, I don't think.
Now, tell everyone a little bit about the OVAC, because that is something that a number of schools in the southern part of the county had belonged to at some point in time.
Yeah, it gives our kids another opportunity to play for a title. All games matter. Essentially, you can't go into a certain non-conference game and not think that it matters, because if you're in the OVAC, all of them essentially matter. But then you're playing for more reasoning, I guess. You're putting more on the line every night. At the end of the year, you're playing playoff atmosphere style games, prepping you for your sectional games. So I'm glad to be part of the OVAC. Last year, our 2 OVAC games, helped us a lot prepare for the sectionals in terms of physicality and things like that. From what down that way brings basketball-wise, because up here it's a totally different beast as far as hands-on and letting the kids play and that type of thing. Down that way it's pretty tight.
Coach, let's talk a little bit about your conference, and obviously right now just 3 games into your season. Hopefully, knock on wood, you'll play 2 more prior to the first of the year. If the league decided, hey, we're just going to play our conference games and that's going to be it for this season, and if you guys can schedule 1 or 2 non-conference games in between and get to 15 games, is 15 suitable or in this environment enough to get you prepared for the tournament, or in a perfect world do you want closer to 20, Coach?
No, I mean, perfectly, you'd want those couple more opportunities to challenge your kids and see how they respond in certain situations. But, if you can get 15 in this world, what's going on, and everybody being shut down week to week, and the uncertainty, I think that everybody involved, including myself, would be happy with that. The seniors, they'd get 15 opportunities to play again. At least 8 of those maybe on the home floor again. And, I think 15 would be enough time to get your team ready for the tournament. And, I don't know how much, practice time you're going to have if you have 20, 22 games and you're trying to stack them all together in between the start of January and the 3rd week of February.
Yeah, you got to be able to practice and get ready for the next opponent. I would imagine that the worst case scenario is playing 2-3 nights in a row and you're not practicing for any of those teams. It would get to be really difficult, if not impossible, after a while.
Yeah, especially with, if you got an injury or you're not playing such a great style of basketball at that time. If you got 3 or 4 games in a row, it can really, really hurt things and deteriorate what you got going on. But, like I said, if we could get 15, 16, I'm sure everybody, like I said, myself included, would be okay with that going into the tournament.
Well, Coach, best of luck to you in trying to get as many games in as possible, and best of luck to you when you guys hit league play here.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and I appreciate you giving me the time to talk about my guys. Hopefully you guys saw that Skylar Pappas broke the school record for steals the other night against Indian Creek, and it's good enough for 5th all-time on the OSHA list. Wanted to make sure we mentioned that on here today.
How many steals did he get, Coach?
He ended up with 10.
Wow.
Yeah. And what's crazy, too, is the game before that he had 6 in the first quarter. So he's I think that this will be something he may scratch again. He might break his own record. I don't know. But he's one of those guys that just gets after it. He's gritty, and he doesn't take anything. He just gets after it. So I want to make sure I mention that. And,
no doubt.
Hopefully the state recognizes him as he deserves that. And again, thank you for having me on.
You got it. Coach Miller, always a pleasure, and good luck the rest of the way, sir.
Thank you.
You got it. Nick Miller, the head basketball coach of the Beaver Local Beavers. And hopefully, 3 games, and that's it. Wow. It's tough. It's just tough, kids. It really is. They got a game against United, a game against East Liverpool before the first of the year. And Liverpool's in their league, and I think Indian Creek is in their league, so that's 2 league games. And you got, 5 other teams in your league? Hopefully they can get at least 15 games in. That's the tough part of all of this and this is where the athletic directors are just pulling their hair out and earning all of the money that they deserve a raise as far as I'm concerned. And then you have ADs like the previous year, you have everything all set up. You have your entire sports all set up, and it just gets wiped out. It gets wiped out with COVID. This is just absolutely crazy. All right, we'll take a timeout and be back with more. Open up the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline, 330-886-0813. That's the number to call. Give me a timeout. We're back in a bit. It's a Friday edition of Running Points presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown.
For heating, cooling, and indoor air quality, the Mahoning Valley trusts MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning, offering worry-free repair, service, and installation. Call MP Vivo today for a free estimate.
MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. We're your energy-efficient experts.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
It's storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Rain will come and go tomorrow. There'll be some dry intervals.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Hi everyone, this is DJ Yoakley with Your Sports Network. We appreciate your support of YSN and welcome you to the YSN family. Our broadcast streams are brought to you live at no cost to you by sponsors that are local to this community. Without the vision and generosity of our sponsors and partners, we would not be able to bring this game to you today. So please support the great businesses and leaders that are making this game possible. And if you're a business in need of great advertising and sponsorship opportunities, feel free to head over to our site for more information on the right fit for you. We are local, we are loyal, and we are live. We are YSN.
Ah, the details. Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is one fine ride. Perfect cornering, superb handling, sporty and stylish, power to spare, plus awesome mileage. Yeah, jaw-droppingly beautiful lines and well appointed with luxurious trim. Put more oomph in your life and start beholding the molding. Find your home's fine hardwood at BairdBrothers.com.
No matter what the weather, be prepared with a reliable, efficient Rude gas furnace or air conditioner from MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. Call your energy-efficient expert, MP Vivo, today for a free estimate.
Here at MP Vivo, we rely on Rude, and so should you.
Welcome back to a Friday edition of Running Points presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Ron Potesta with you. MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline open for business. 330-886-0813. That's 330-886-0813. Congratulations last night to Krista Perry for getting her 1,000th point as she got herself her 1,000th point in the first quarter of the 60-20 victory by the Rebels over the Camel Red Devils. And isn't it interesting? Larry Scragg and I have broadcast the majority of the Crestview girls games this year, And we've also had an opportunity to broadcast a few other games, and we've had Camel 3 times this year. Lowville played them in Lowville. Heartland Christian played them in Heartland Christian. And Camel played them last night at home. And in all 3, Crestview played Camel last night at home. And in all 3 of those games, at Camel, at Heartland Christian, and at Lowville, the Camel girls scored 20 points in all 3 of the games. 20 points in each game. Just weird, really weird. And they got their 20th point in the final 2 seconds of the contest. Jackson Milton, the winner over Lowville last night, 64-39. Mooney over Columbiana, 46-41. United went up to Leetonia and beat the Bears, put them to their first loss of the season. United getting a 10-point win over Leetonia, 42-32. It was South Range knocking off Jefferson, 64-30. And Poland, a 43-32 winner over the Struthers Wildcats. Basketball games tonight on the network. And again, I believe we have 8 games total. 8 games total on the network tonight. And here are your 8 games. There's only one game that is going to be starting at 6:30. And let me do this right. Starting at 6:30. Again, the varsity game is scheduled to start at 6:30. The JV game will begin at 5 o'clock. Lisbon taking on Southern. That game will be played at Lisbon High School. The rest of the games with a varsity scheduled start at 7 o'clock, meaning that the JVs will kick off at 5:30, or tip off, if you will, at 5:30. Here are the 7 games that are scheduled to start at 7 o'clock. Fitch will be hosting Ursuline. Cardinal Mooney goes to Boardman to play the Spartans. Columbiana is home to Wellsville. Sebring is at Springfield. East Liverpool will take a journey up State Route 11 and on 680 and whatever the heck else they can find. East Liverpool will be heading to Struthers to take on the Wildcats from the iconic Struthers Fieldhouse. Leetonia will travel to Valley Christian, and Marlington will go into Mahoning County as they take on West Branch. And again, these 7 games, the JVs will start at 5:30. The varsity games somewhere around 7 o'clock. Somewhere around 7 o'clock. So those are the games tonight on the network, and that should be an awful lot of fun. All right, 330-886-0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline, open for business. The 3 o'clock we'll have Power Hour, and I'm sure DJ and the fellas will talk a little bit about the upcoming basketball action tonight, amongst other things. I made mention tomorrow the Big Ten title will be decided. That's a 12 noon game, if I'm not mistaken. Ohio State's going to be playing Northwestern. Notre Dame will be playing Clemson. I believe that is a 4 o'clock game, which sucks because the Bills are on this tomorrow afternoon as well. So, flipping the clicker back and forth to make sure that I'm watching both the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and the Bills, and hopefully both teams win on Saturday. We'll see what happens. Sunday night, Browns are going to be playing the New York Giants in the Meadowlands, and as if this weren't weird enough, Freddie Kitchens, who was fired last year as the head football coach of the Browns, he is going to be calling the plays for the Giants when the Giants are on offense. He's going to be calling the plays mainly because offensive coordinator Jason Garrett tested positive for COVID-19 on Thursday. Freddie Kitchens, the assistant to the offensive coordinator, former Cowboys head football coach Jason Garrett. So now it's Freddie Kitchens that will be calling the plays on offense when the Giants have the ball against a pedestrian Browns defense. This could be interesting. This could be very, very interesting. We'll see what happens, but that game is on Sunday night. And keep in mind, Giants are still alive for the NFC Eastern Division crown. They're only one game in back of Washington, and the Giants have the tiebreaker because they beat the Redskins. They beat the Washington Football Club 2 times, and Washington's 6-7. The Giants are 5-8. So Giants are only one game back, and they have the tiebreakers. So stuff could happen. Browns 9-4, looking to get into the playoffs, and we'd made mention if you don't have 11 wins, you're probably not getting into the playoffs in the AFC unless you have 11 wins. And Cleveland has an opportunity to get their 10th win on Sunday night against the Giants. Now, the next week, they stay in the Meadowlands, and they're playing the Jets. Much better chance of the Browns beating the Jets. And then the final game of the season, they have the Steelers. So you can see why this game against the Giants is so incredibly important for the Browns, because if they don't win on Sunday night, then they have to beat the Steelers. Assuming they beat the Jets, they have to beat the Steelers in order to get the 11 wins, which is in all likelihood going to be necessary if they get into the postseason. To get into the postseason, I should say. I don't believe 10 wins is going to get you a postseason berth. Now, I could be wrong. It wouldn't be the first time. But it's sure looking like 11 wins is going to be the minimum for a team out of the AFC to get into the postseason. Anyway, the Browns are playing the Giants on Sunday night, and then the Steelers are playing the Bengals on Monday night, and it's an opportunity for the Steelers to get their stuff back together again after being beaten the last 2 games by Washington and Buffalo. All right, we'll take a final timeout, be back to wrap this bad boy up. It is a Friday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions, reminding you that it is open enrollment for Medicare.
Now through December 7th, those who qualify can visit our local independent agency by calling us at 330-953-3722 or visiting us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Attention all football fans. If you can't see your team play, come and dine with us and watch it live at Boardman, Canfield, or Cortland. Or staying at home, we'll deliver right to your door. That's Coca's Pizza. We serve it hot.
2020 will be a season like we've never seen before, but 21 Sports and YSN will be there for every key moment. The plays, the players, and the stories that will headline this season. Delivered by 21 Sports and YSN.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
Myers Family Insurance knows the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is here, so it's all hands on deck to make sure your plans still meet your needs for 2020.
Call us today.
You may find yourself in some difficulty this winter. Don't get whacked by high heating bills. Call Michael at MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. Michael is a trusted friend who will be able to help you with many things, like getting a 95% high-efficiency furnace this winter from Rude. Michael relies on Rude, so should you. Call MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning for a free estimate, 330-259-0486, and take care of your heating and air situation.
I went to Greenwood Chevrolet because
I was really interested in looking at the tracks.
Because I wanted my dream truck.
Because I've been going there for 20 years.
I'm really happy that I went
to Greenwood Chevrolet.
Because they really went
the extra mile for me.
Now we're going the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Baird Brothers remains your source for fine hardwood products. For the time being, we're open for customer pickup only on weekdays, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Saturday from 9 a.m. till noon. Place your order online at BairdBrothers.com. Baird Brothers, for the place you love.
Quality, customer service, and integrity.
Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
The 4M Company, being an architect and construction manager for over 40 years, has had the opportunity to use many different electrical businesses for our projects. The depth, quality, and knowledge and attention to detail displayed by Dickey Electric makes them stand out above all the rest.
For state-of-the-art expertise and a timeless commitment to our customers, contact Joe Dickey Electric. We are everything electrical.
Armstrong Local Programming has always delivered an exclusive and unique perspective on the very best events your region offers. High school sports, community events, parades, all your favorite shows from Armstrong are now calling the Neighborhood Channel their home.
Watch Out and About, Locally Speaking, and many other great local shows right here on the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel.
Find out everything that the Neighborhood Channel has to offer at ArmstrongNeighborhood.com. Spirit, town pride, local communities. Welcome to the neighborhood.
Right now is a great time to get more for your trade-in at Tri-State Ford and drive home in a new or pre-owned vehicle. Choose from our great selection of new Ford models or pre-owned vehicles. Plus, get the Tri-State Ford Advantage, including a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty and more. At Tri-State Ford, we'll pay you top dollar for your trade, but you don't have to purchase one of ours to sell us yours.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
Welcome back to the closing moments of a Friday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Ron Potesta with you. Coming up on Monday, Anthony will be back. I'll be here, and we'll have the weekend that was in sports. Power Hour is coming up next. Enjoy your weekend, kids, and we will talk on Monday, noon to 3, Running Point.